Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
I have a bright paw here. He is about to jump, and I think he's gonna scratch my stomach.
Oh no!
Cat.
No scratching of stomachs, bright paw.
He can't believe that I had a quest to kill some young lightsabers on the classic beta yesterday.
Oh. Yeah,
Bright Paw's
maybe that part
okay.
should have been hidden from him. Might have been a better call.
Yep. Come on, Bright Paw. Just sit like a good little cat. Ow.
Oh no, he's gone already. It's like, that's enough screen time for me, Mom, okay? I'm done for today. I need more treats if you want more of me here.
Exactly.
Wait, so you were leveling beta for WoW?
Yeah, I was leveling a night elf rogue as usual.
Oh.
And yep, so I was just doing the starting zone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take a break and I do stuff for work, like making sure all of our starting values were correct and some basic things.
Oh, like on the website?
I was having like we have a race guide and we have all the base values and the gnome int values are off by 1, a few of them. So I was like updating all those things, like making level 1s and then verifying all that. So I did some stuff for fun, and then I did some stuff for work because we have to focus a lot on classic site updates these next 2 weeks, like getting the filters to work and the data drops and all that. So I had a lot of behind the scenes stuff to do.
Yeah, I bet that's sort of sudden beta. Well, maybe that's, yeah, I would say it's kind of sudden. Would mean that you guys have a lot to do on Wowhead, making sure everything is updated for it.
Yeah, like for example, we had just today we got classic Wowhead working in all languages. And there's like a lot of things before, like, oh, like why does Thunder Fury only show 2 stats in German, not 4? Oh, there's this weird glitch with how we localize things. We should fix that. So all these little bugs that we're discovering as we're going about it. But it's been pretty cool. We have a lot of stuff planned for Classic as well, just to make it as equal to the BFA version of the site. So we're set if, Blizzard ever does Burning Crusade or Wrath or anything else that Wowhead can do, we can just get everything polished right now to work with different versions of the game.
I'm not sure if this is on my end, but you're lagging to me.
I also see perk lagging.
Okay.
Oh no. Our region is Central Europe. Should we set that to maybe US East?
Yes. Yes. Are you able to change it, or do I need to do it?
I can change it.
Okay, change it then.
Okay. Let's see if this is any better.
I think that's better. Wait, no, I think, yeah, maybe? Yes?
Test. 1, 2, 3. Test.
Yes, it seems better now.
Okay, yeah,
both of you guys were frozen for a second, but now it seems good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good. What about you, Hazel?
Did
Have you
anyone,
had a chance to try?
Did anyone? Yeah.
Without going into it too much, because we're probably going to talk about it in the actual show. But have you had a chance to play any classic?
Me. Not yet, and I did somehow squeak into beta, so I'm thinking about. I originally didn't plan to, but then I saw it was there, and was like, oh, well, now I have to.
Maybe
now
I should.
Now I have to think about it. Maybe all the cool kids are doing it.
Yeah.
So
that's understandable.
Maybe thinking about it. There's a lot going on though with the 8.2 PTR, and there's a lot of pet battle stuff actually in 8.2, so I don't have a ton of time.
And there's also the new raid, which
there's the new raid and there's the new dungeon. There's just a lot going on with live stuff, which is nice. It's very comforting to feel like they haven't abandoned that in favor of classic, that they're kind of doing both, and that they're not afraid to do both at the same time. It's kind of cool.
That's really good.
I
saw the comment, Hazel's face be like, okay, I guess no intro. No, so we have the sort of pre-show part, I guess that we could call it, where we're not really introducing anyone. We're just, coming in straight away, just saying hi to you guys, making sure everything's working, realizing things such as Perk's camera is lagging so that we can fix those things. And then when we get started properly, that's when we will introduce the lovely Hazel very properly, an introduction that she deserves. And yeah, that's when you'll see that part. I also noticed there's quite a few resubs, but maybe we should thank you guys when the show starts properly as well. But I can see you guys, just so you know. So thank you. But yeah, I think we are looking fine. I think the sound and video seems to be working fine. As I said that, Perk froze for 1 second, but it seems okay now.
Yep. I blame the cat. He's chewing on some wire.
Do you see that too, Hazel?
No, it looks stable. She looks stable to me now.
Okay. Maybe it's just to me then, I'm not sure. It's just sometimes the frame freezes for a second.
Maybe it's raining. I got into an Uber yesterday and she was asking me directions and I'm like, aren't you supposed to have those? And she's like, yeah, but it's raining.
What?
And it doesn't work when it's raining.
Oh, wow.
Oh, what?
Oh, if I knew how to get there, I would drive.
Right.
Oh, no.
Okay, it stopped raining. We made it.
All right. Let's get started properly then. Tonight's show is number... Let's see.
It's 196.
196. The numbers are growing. 196.
Ripa, why are you knocking the coloring book off the desk?
Oh, is he coming back? Or is he still hiding?
Yeah, he's... Ripa, come over here. I don't know if you can see him now.
Yes, we can see him. So sweet. Okay.
Okay, he doesn't want to be picked up.
Was that his voice?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cute. It was tiny.
Yes.
That was a person sound.
That was a cat.
It's like, was that Brightpaw? Sound like a newborn baby.
Well, I think they have cats the cats sound like babies because they realize that the frequency makes humans pay attention to them. But yes, that was him expressing his displeasure over being picked up, so we won't pick him up.
All right. All right, let's get started then. Need to make sure that, yes, everything looks fine. Okay, everything is working as it should. Let's get started. Wait, actually, I need to have this ready here. Okay, let's go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 196. I am Annie, or Annie Fuchsia. You can normally find me on Twitch, streaming World of Warcraft, among a lot of other games. And I am also your host for Wowhead Weekly. As usual, I have my lovely co-host, Perculia.
Hey everyone, I'm Perk. I run Wowhead. Got a busy show this week because we have the WoW Classic Beta started yesterday, and two NDAs dropped this week. But before we start, I wanted to introduce a special guest we have this show. You loved having her on the show so much a few months ago that we brought her back. Please give a warm welcome to HazelNuttyGames.
Way! Welcome.
Hi, I'm Hazel. I am a garden variety WoW YouTuber, one of those cool people. So I make videos about live WoW and stream every now and then, and that's me.
That's
all
awesome.
of us have cats, so we might have a cat Triforce later on the show if they all stop by.
Although, yeah, I haven't seen Luna for the past 15 minutes at least, so not sure where that luck is. We also saw a very, very cute dog earlier.
Yes.
Yes, we did, because we didn't see the dog last time. We saw the very cute cat last time. So maybe this time, if we're
Nobody
lucky...
ever sees the dog. It's a myth.
It's a myth. Oh, that's why this happened before the show. So it's still a myth. There's still no proof.
Yeah, I may or may not have a dog.
May or may not. Might have been a plushie. Who knows? Who knows?
So obviously on the show, we have a lot to talk about. We've got the 2 NDA drops. We've got the cinematic. We have a classic starting. We didn't have a show last week, so we have a lot of PTR to catch up on. But before we start, we just want to thank all the returning subs that rejoined at the start of the show and remind you of a giveaway going on. We are giving away a Moonkin Hatchling pet. You cannot get these anymore on the shop. And to enter, you need to just type in the word Boomkin, one word, in Twitch chat.
Ooh.
So if Annie, you want to do the honors of thanking the subs, then
yes, we can do that. So apparently these subs happened between last stream and today's stream. Also, I think some of them happened during the classic streaming. We had some people, including Perk, streaming some classic leveling. So we just wanted to give you guys a quick little shout out as a thank you. So we have Magic Me, Ringo Dance, Eduardo Chiaro, Wonky Smoker, Portain, Raucous Fox, Neg4433, and Kit Katsu. This was pre-stream. And then at the very beginning of the stream, right before this introduction, we had JD Saphir and Ashley Bithia. Hopefully I got all those names right.
Yep.
So thank you guys very much for subscribing and resubscribing. And I just noticed a Prime sub from Hazel.
Yay!
Thank you, Hazel. Yeah, we got a Prime sub. Actually, I missed out on one more name, Tenno20 as well, with the resub. That was my bad.
So thank you everyone for all your support on the beta streams. You know, we know we're not like, you know, big streamers that are streaming WoW every day, but we are trying to stream the WoW beta a lot, and we're really happy with how many people were watching us and asking for feedback and asking us to look up stuff on classic Wowhead and show up the Thoughtbot theme. So yeah, we had a lot of fun last night, and I think Anshlin will be streaming after the show finishes today for a few hours, and maybe Sass as well.
Oh, Sass as well. That's awesome. Who was the other name you said?
Anshlin. He does a lot of our class guides. Hi, Paw. What are you doing? My poor arm.
Aww.
No, Bright Paw. Okay. I'm not going to show my hands now because there's cat scratches all over them. Yes.
Oh, no.
I will give my Twitch Prime sub to you, Bright Paw. Just stop biting my arm.
Bright Paw's like, you didn't give me enough treats. I've given you way too much cam time.
But yes, we should discuss WoW Classic and learn why Bright Paw is upset with me. So WoW Classic is releasing on August 27th, and the beta, as you all know, has gone live yesterday on May 15th.
Yes. And I'm not sure about you guys, but I have noticed a lot of hype around this. I'm not sure how the scene is looking on YouTube, but on Twitch, the classic, I almost called it the classic release. The classic beta has been very, very popular. People are loving it. How is it looking from a YouTube perspective? Do you guys know?
Ow.
I'm sure it's poppin'.
Poppin'.
I personally don't know. That's not my my forte. Right.
Fair enough.
There's a lot of creators that are really passionate about classic WoW, and it's okay for me to not be one of them. They've got it covered.
They've got it covered. They'll take care of it. I don't have to do that. I'll do my own stuff. It's funny because I wasn't planning to play much beta because I'm the kind of person where I feel if I'm not keeping my progression, it feels kind of like I don't want to do this. I'll wait till it launches. But I've had a lot of fun, honestly. I'm level 13 currently, playing a Gnome Warlock, and it's been fun. It's a slow progress, but a very fun one. I'm skipping some things like professions because it is beta after all. You know, I don't want to spend time doing things that are pretty repetitive if I'm gonna redo it later in the real game. But yeah, I think Classic has been very popular, and it's gonna be interesting to see how long it's gonna last. If the hype lasts very long, even when it's in beta phase, and how it's gonna change later on when it's in the final product sort of mode. We had Asmongold clear Deadmines today, and he hit 100,000 viewers towards the end of it.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome to see. I wonder if the Twitch viewership will stay boosted with a very small amount of invites, because the fewer people that have invites, the more people have to watch instead of playing themselves. So
That's
right now
point.
The beta is like very exclusive, and
Yeah,
I think that definitely it shows a ton of hype. But I think that this is way more exclusive than the first rounds of BFA, and there's no beta keys. So pretty much, if you're interested in WoW Classic, you pretty much need to be watching a streamer as opposed to, you know, checking your invite. Like I know in the past, people got invites if they, you know, cleared the Mythic raid, they would maybe get in an early wave, or they could enter via a fan site, but there's none of that this time.
No.
But yeah, I'm really happy to see it's doing well. I mean, it was obviously a huge project for the devs to undertake, and 100K being top of Twitch with individuals getting 100K is like really good marketing for the game. You know, the things that the Blizzard suits care about. So.
And I think this round of beta keys, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think a large part of that is that a lot of streamers that were already popular, not just in WoW, but variety streamers, have been really excited about Classic for a really long time. So not only do you have people going to those streamers to watch them, but they're also like sharing their hype for it. That's been building up for longer than Classic's even been a thing. So I think that's definitely feeding into the popularities. You've got these people that just want it so badly that are finally in it, and that's just really fun to watch.
What I was going to say was it's interesting how this first sort of exclusive group of people have mainly been content creators. And I thought that was a pretty interesting route that Blizzard took. Or am I wrong in saying that most of them are content creators?
I think there's actually a mix. I mean, the people that I've heard that some people got in that weren't really content creators, but they played a lot in vanilla, and some of them didn't even have active subs, but they were, you know, very passionate about Classic. And it's like, if someone's not a content creator, you wouldn't really know if they got in or not, you know, because if they're not a content creator, they wouldn't have a stream. But like, for example, I think 4 of us got in from Wowhead, and, you know, 2 of the people are, you know, people that really like Classic, but they're the developers building the website, so you wouldn't really know about them because they're not the ones streaming the game.
Well, I would still consider you guys, maybe content creator is the wrong term for it, but you guys are still kind of working in the field of World of Warcraft.
I see that.
The way that I see it, different from any other beta in the past, is that I don't have a single viewer who's also invited. Whereas in the past, if I played BFA, for example, there's always a few group of people who would have beta invites because it's randomly picked by, you know, a lot of different categories of people, and then they would join me in my group. But this time, from my 2 streams, there hasn't been a single person among my viewership, unless they are partners and streamers themselves, who can actually join me in anything. So that's why I was thinking, okay, maybe they were specifically just targeting people. Nobody was random.
Yeah, I think that is also fair. I know with the event I attended last week, there were some casual things being said, like, oh, hey, we need your BattleNet. Like, you know, the people attending will get into the beta. And there were some people from a lot of journalism sites that weren't even WoW specific that were there. So if they got in as well, then it could be, you know, okay, we want to make sure that, you know, press gets on the list to cover this Classic thing. And that's also a side note saying that I don't think we'll be doing beta key giveaways. Like, there are no keys that exist, and I don't think they'll be doing, you know, a replacement type of giveaway where we get names and send them in. I just have not heard anything on beta key giveaways.
I haven't heard anything either. I know they've already talked about how there's no beta keys at the moment. I wonder if they'll create keys in the future, maybe like in a month. Who knows? They are gonna have some.
Done that before.
Yeah.
They like last. I think it was the BFA beta launch where it was invite only at first, and it was specifically tied to your account, and then they did open it up for keys like later on down the beta, like a few months in. So maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they are getting very different type of feedback though, because for this they want it to be very small and have testing to make sure that there aren't bugs and that the fidelity is good. While with you know, BFA, it's like, hey, do you like Azerite? We're gonna change things every week, so they need very different types of testing.
And they also
I guess
talked
we'll
about the stress test.
Yeah, there's one on the 22nd, and then 2 others.
Which would imply they need to invite a lot more people, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it would mean. They'd have to invite more people or do some weird stuff with the tech to, like, I don't know, replicate the amount of people. So
how mean would it be for them to temporarily open it up and then just close it down again and be like, get out. You're done.
I think that'd be pretty hilarious. Like, giving people a taste of the Classic. Like, oh, like, you can play for these 2 hours. You have to, like, log on and do this. Sort of replicate the feel of it. Like, oh, there's a green dragon up. You must drop everything now and go do this thing. It's like, you must log on now for the stress test or else you can't do the thing.
Oh, okay. So you guys think, and I just saw Sass write in the chat as well, that it might just be an open login during that time, basically.
Yeah.
Not necessarily an
It
invitation
could be.
thing.
Yeah.
I doubt it, but it would be funny.
Yeah.
So like,
we don't have
this
any official
2-hour
post
period,
either way.
everyone can log in.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting.
Everyone that logs in gets a Scarabord mount, so log in on the beta.
Yeah.
They did talk about later on in the beta. This was the beta only goes up to 30, and they were talking about how maybe later on they would open up higher levels or pre-mades to test higher level content, because I think it'd be very difficult to test, like, end game level 60 content with many people if you had to have them all level from 1 to 60 and like gear up very slowly. Like, I know people are power leveling. I'm just saying that not everyone invited has that sort of time to play the beta every day.
Wait, so do you think they might give like already leveled characters, maybe?
Yeah, I think that in the future they could maybe have like level, we're doing Uber's testing here, make a level 60 character.
Yeah, like templates.
Yeah. So I think they could do that at a later point, especially because they don't have much time, and the beta currently only goes up to 30. But yeah, what else did we learn about WoW Classic? So one thing we learned is that I did an interview with Brian Birmingham and Patrick Dawson, and I learned a bunch of stuff. Some of the stuff overlapped with other creators. Some of it was new, but just to recap some of the things I thought was interesting from it, we confirmed that the writing system will use the old school style of writing training. So you had, tiger riding, horse riding, writing for every type of mount, as opposed to the more modern setup that was introduced in 1.12.1. It just was good to get confirmation on that, because you had to do a lot more training to, ride everyone else's type of racial mount then. Another thing we confirmed is that the old school mounts, so the unarmored mounts, so if you wanted to basically ride an unarmored Brightpaw, you needed, that will not be in Classic. We thought maybe it would be in for like the first few phases of Classic, but they said they didn't want people to feel they had to rush and get this mount that would then go away and be replaced by other mounts. So that is not going to be a thing, which makes sense. I mean, I do feel a little sad about that, because I started playing in Classic I was playing early on, but I wasn't serious about it until later, and I didn't realize they were going away as a big thing. And I was like, oh, they're really gone.
Yeah.
But we did learn for collectors that if you have the vanilla collector's edition, and you're on that same account, your Classic account will have access to those pets.
That was interesting.
So, do you guys have the collector's edition? Because I don't. That was beyond my budget back in vanilla, and now that they're very expensive, it's still beyond my budget. But I think it's cool for the people that have it.
Yeah,
I do not.
I do, actually. It was gifted to me around 2-3 years ago. And I was in that seat where I felt like, oh, that's one of those things I'm never going to have. And I was very lucky that someone wanted to gift it to me, very generous person. So I do have it. But I was, I guess I'm not like surprised. I mean, it would be weird if they would like separately try to sell some kind of collector's edition to get those pets, because it's already old stuff. But it's pretty cool that you can sort of have those things from the real game into this as well, because I think that's the only kind of item or thing that you can get from outside the game, right?
Yeah, there's no special like Classic collector's edition get something. We'll talk about the anniversary, but there's no Classic only CE where you get special things. They're not bringing back the vanilla CE. It's just if you got it back in the day, grats, you unlock these pets.
Yeah.
And Caden, the former CM, had a series of tweets saying that there was a lot of back and forth about this, and that, they finally agreed on this, but, it was based on player feedback that this was added this way.
Yeah,
So
no, I think
cool.
it's clever. I think it's good.
One sec. Brightpaw turned Siri on. No Brightpaw.
Oh.
Okay, removing the phone from the cat.
Oh.
But yeah, what else did we learn?
Layering.
The extra bag slots are a BFA perk only.
Ooh.
So
yes,
they said
that.
Yeah, they wanted to do something for Classic and couldn't think of anything. So it's like they might think of something, but they're like, the bag spots were a very important part of Classic, so we're not going to be messing with that experience. Finally, that Armory and API support is planned, but not at launch. This I know is a big topic among the Wowhead audience and a lot of my friends who run, fan sites because, right, pause, stop playing with the Heart of Azeroth. I mean, things like Wowhead's quest tracker or mount tracker or flying tool, all of that relies on Blizzard's API, or things like importing your character at once into the dressing room. And without that, or something like raid bots, you import your character. But when you don't have that API, everything just takes longer to do, and then tools are less popular because no one wants to do stuff manually. And I wasn't sure if the API would be in Classic or not because Blizzard had very limited capabilities back then, so it could detract from the experience. But there's been so many other things added since then, which have changed the experience, like guides and different types of add-ons and, people, researching Classic for 15 years versus 0 years. There's like a lot more knowledge gained.
Yeah.
So I asked them, and at first one of them said he wasn't sure and asked me to re-explain what the Armory and API was. And then when I did, the other person was like, oh yeah, he's like, we want to support that, but probably not for the launch phase. But it would be cool. Wowhead could do a lot of cool stuff if that became a reality. So I hope it comes. There's a lot of stuff we could do, even like a Twitch extension that could show classic talents. That's something that becomes 100 times more popular when it's automatic versus asking a streamer to like oh like download this app and like log out when you switch characters. It's like no one's gonna do that.
No, I completely agree. Because it's a convenience thing too. Like I don't want to download an app or add-on of some sort to read my armory while in the game. I want it to be automatic. I want it to be online. That's very understandable. And having that lets people, go crazy with their creativity of different types of things to use. Whether, like you said, it's a Twitch extension or a website. So I do hope that they do this support thing. They said it's planned, but just not likely ready for launch, right? So I think that sounds pretty positive. Then I think that sounds like it's probably in the works even, but they're just not sure exactly how they're going to do it. So they just need to figure out.
My interview was during lunch, and when I was asking that question, they had the lunch alert blaring, and I was like, "No, this is very important." It's like, please answer my question.
Yeah.
Another thing that we didn't ask, but a lot of other people did, was the concept of sharding and layering, because sharding wasn't around in Classic WoW, but using some sort of that technology would be helpful to prevent, things crashing with the large influx of players. And their final solution is something that will be called layering. And instead of balancing players around shards of zones and combining players from multiple realms, layering will allow realms to create a separate instance of themselves to balance their own population. The only way to change a layer will be to enter a group, which will have all players from that group in the same layer. Players won't leave, and it's not like sharding where if you move zones, suddenly you're in a different shard. And the system sounds a little confusing, and if you don't like it, don't worry, because it would only be in use for a couple of weeks at Classic WoW launch.
Yeah, so, I like that.
Yeah,
I think especially that
like
part.
Sharding, but it's temporary. Seems to address some of the weirdness of sharding. Not exactly like vanilla WoW, but it seems that they did try to take feedback into account and not have it exactly be like sharding, which people hated at the demo.
If I'm understanding it correctly, the thing that I really like about it is that it sounds like you're never going to see someone from another server. Like your own server may get split up to save the servers, but you're never going to see somebody from just a totally random server. And that's something I actually kind of wish they would do in the live game. Like I understand that the whole, like I know splitting people to stop servers from crashing is great. Nobody wants another Warlords launch, but I understand that they're trying to put more people in the world to make it feel like alive. But if I see somebody that I'm never going to see again, that I have no interest in, it might be nice if they help me kill a quest mob. But outside from that, it doesn't really feel like a living connection. Whereas if you only ever ran into people on your server, even if it was less often, you would still maybe have a better chance of like forming those connections and remembering people and forming those server relationships. But I don't play on a dead server, and dead servers might be just unplayable if that were to happen. So tough to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's reasons for it, but like you said, it does feel from a player point of view that it makes no sense, because when you're walking around somewhere, you're looking for your friend, you know that they're in Borealis, but then you realize you can't see them, you have to invite them to see them, and meanwhile you're also seeing all these other people from other servers, and it doesn't make sense, because if that person from the other server has a spot on your realm, then surely they could just swap with your friend so you can see your friend by just walking around. But yeah, it must be like you said, you know, with dead people on dead servers, they have to fit somewhere, so they end up switching people around like that. I don't know. But it feels a little bit like layering should probably just take over what sharding is right now on retail.
Yeah, maybe they're giving that tech a whirl, and if it goes well, maybe they could introduce that on live servers too.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. That would be nice.
But yeah, another interesting thing that Quissy and a Forbes interview covered was the possibility of Classic bringing back other expansions besides vanilla. And normally when people ask, Blizzard's like, oh, we're going to focus on Classic. But this time Blizzard was like, we're going to focus on Classic, but we like feedback and we'll see what happens after Classic comes out. And the Forbes interview elaborated that, you know, if it goes really well, then they would consider it, and they have the tech to do this now, which they didn't have in the past. So that was a really popular post on Wowhead. A lot of people were obviously very excited about the concept of Burning Crusade or Wrath servers. So what do you guys think about that?
You can go
I
ahead,
think that
Hazel.
raises some immediate and kind of interesting questions. It sort of solves the problem of, you know, with the Classic setup right now, they're going to go through their 6 patches. And then what? You know, if it lives forever after the 6 patches, and that's just how the game's going to be for 2, 4, 6, 10 years, is it still going to maintain the same kind of audience? Where do those people go? But if they continue, like, do they progress Classic servers and leave Classic behind? Do they have concurrent servers? Do they have this is live and then this is Classic and then this is Burning Crusade and this is Wrath? Like, how far can you fragment your player base before there's nobody left to play with?
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to you just do one and then you progress it and then you get to current day and then you roll it all the way back and you do it again. There's different questions to answer about how they handle that, but it'll be kind of cool to see.
I'm picturing the Disney Vault, which I think they just got rid of, where basically you could only buy the video once every 8 years or something. So if we had this cycle where it's like, oh, you could play Classic, you know, in 2019, and then you can play, we're going to run through the expansions, then you can play Classic again in like 2025. I don't think Blizzard would do that, but yeah, so what are they going to call them too? I was having fun with names like, you know, the Burning Classic, Wrath of the Classic King, Warlords of Classic,
Yeah, I saw that.
Mists of Classic.
Yeah. That was funny.
So we'll see how that all turns out. But I think it would be interesting, certainly. I know people were also asking, well, like, if that's the case, like, why maybe you guys could go back and add some content that was scrapped or didn't make it into the expansion. I think Blizzard said they would just focus on bringing the, you know, original game back to life, so there wouldn't be like, you know, Thrall's Raid and Warlords, or the Dragon Isles were scrapped in Classic, let's try to develop them. It would just be straight as is. Let's see. With the notes. So we talked a bit, I think before the show, about what classes we were playing so far in Classic, or what we wanted to play. So you were playing a Gnome Warlock, Annie?
Yes, I've played around 9, no, must be more now, I think over 10 hours. I'm playing a Gnome Warlock, just hit level 13. Aww. A Gnome Warlock because that's the original character that I made. I started playing back in Wrath of the Lich King, so I'm a little bit late to everything. But it's interesting because a lot of the things of playing Classic reminds me of Wrath, because I think a lot of it changed with Cataclysm, at least system-wise, like the talents and
zone-wise too.
What's that?
Like zone-wise, I guess. You know, Deathwing was
the quests,
everything.
yes,
Yeah.
it was before the whole revamp of the quests, the quest lines, the talent system. What else was on my mind? The way that you have ranks for the different spells. That's something that I got to experience in one expansion, which makes me really happy because I feel like with Kata everything changed, and I would have missed that part of I guess in a way like a nostalgic feeling that I'm sure a lot of people feel. I'm happy that I can also feel it even though I didn't play Classic. But then there's certain things that I never did experience, like the lack of LFG, for example. So that's cool. And I'm really enjoying it. Did not think I would enjoy the beta as much as I have enjoyed it, especially because it is just beta, you don't keep your progression, it's not real. But it's really fun. I'm liking it.
And you woke up bright and early to play. That was really fun how energized you were.
Oh, today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I woke up and within 30 minutes my stream was live. I was like, I'm going again. I'm going to continue leveling. No, but it's been fun. What was your experience like, Perk? Because you played some as well, right?
Yeah, so I started playing in Classic, not vanilla, not right at launch, but a few patches into it. So I ended up clearing most of Nax and most of AQ. And I did Blackwing Lair, obviously Molten Core. I was really excited when I got Death Dealer pieces. I was really excited to get Perdition's Blade. So I wasn't at the very top level like I was in later expansions, like when I was managing a guild that was getting, server first. But, I put a lot of time into it. I got my, winter, spring rep. I farmed up my Timber Maws. And so I was getting back to my Night Elf Rogue. And when I started playing back in Manila, it was interesting because I didn't really understand stealth and keybinds and movements. And there was this one quest where you had to pickpocket a demon that was on a tree branch in Teldrassil. But I kept aggroing him. And when I tried to run away so I wouldn't die, I ended up just falling off Teldrassil. And that's a really strange graveyard run, because no one is really at the base of Teldrassil. And I'm just this wisp that is dead trying to figure out how do I get back up onto the top of Teldrassil because there's no graveyards down there. So I was just swimming around all of Teldrassil as a ghost. And I think finally I got teleported up to Darnassus or, found a little village at the bottom. And then I had to, spirit res. It was bad. It felt very interesting actually being able to knowing how much I've learned since then and not messing it up. But yes, I played a Night Elf Rogue again, same appearance as she currently is. I didn't realize that the first
appearance
quest had
is in like the face and everything.
Yeah, like the same skin tone. Yeah, I started playing on an RP server back in Classic, and while I wasn't really super, I did it because my friends were there. I wasn't super into RP, but at the time, a lot of people would be like, "Oh, you picked the pale face," and they would make all these assumptions about my character. So it was interesting being like, "Oh yeah, I'll take quote like the ugly face again, or like the slightly sickly looking skin tone." And I know it was fun. Like people would be like, "Oh, like you're like the suspicious one in the party, or this and that." I remember that back in. So I was like, I don't care. I'll just have it be the exact same again.
Oh, that's awesome.
But what's also interesting was how last week I got to actually play a bit at the demo, which was a unique experience because everyone was level 40 and all the flight paths were unlocked. So I was just flying through all the zones and, riding especially through Darkshore and Ashenvale. And it was really emotional because, obviously with work, I'm not jeopardizing things and playing on private servers. So these were a lot of zones that were really meaningful that I hadn't seen in so many years. So it just was very emotional. Seeing sort of like favorite places after a long time, almost like, you moved away and like didn't see a familiar place or home and getting to see them again and thinking of all the memories that were sort of locked away tied to those places and just having a really good time walking through all of them and taking pictures of everything. And just being like reflecting on, how much the game has meant and how much I've gotten involved with the game since I was playing at that early period because I wasn't involved with Wowhead and Classic. That was later in Cataclysm. So it was cool to be like, oh, like, these zones were so inspirational and then they went away, and since then I've joined Wowhead, and now I'm enjoying these zones, and like I'm being invited to preview these zones. Wow, that's so amazing! Like I've come so far. So
that is awesome.
So, yeah, so I had fun with that, and after I finish more work stuff, I'm going to try to level some more tonight. I'm not going for world first leveling, but you know I am having fun. No.
What?
Yeah, I'm going for world first database.
I thought you were going for level 30 today perk straight after the show.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I will be actually because I'm not looking for the most efficient path, so I am going to be leveling in Darkshore and Ashenvale as opposed to doing the boat run Darnassus to Stormwind, just because I miss those Night Elf zones. So I'm going to level in them. So
that's awesome to hear. It's a very nice, very nostalgic feeling just listening to it.
So when did you start playing Hazel? And I know that you made a video calling like why the classic, beta isn't for me, like back with the demo. But are you, now that you have an invite, are you going to try it out, or is there anything you're looking for out of curiosity, or what are your thoughts?
So, a couple of questions. I started in Wrath, probably close to the same time Annie did. I started right around the ICC patch. Was when I got into WoW. My video was not while I'll never play Classic. My video was trying Classic for the first time when I had just come back from BlizzCon, and I tried the beta experience that they had right after BlizzCon. So I went and attempted to do that, and I think that the main reason why it's not for me is just because I don't know. I like live, and it's not like there's anything wrong with Classic. I think it would be a really cool experience, and I'll probably check it out just for like the history of it. But there's a lot of things to do just in life. And I'm the kind of person that gets really excited and wants to do everything. I want all the hobbies. I want to meet all the people. I want to take everything that I can do. And you really quickly learn doing that's a dumb idea, and you can't do everything. And if you can write something off early, even if it's for a really dumb reason, if you can write something off early and then dedicate that time to something else, that works for me better. So I'm sure Classic would be great. I might have a lot of fun with it, but I guess I'd rather spend the time in live and let people that are like really, really into it do that. But I'm sure it's going to be really cool. And like I said, I should check it out just for the history of it, because that's like the roots of the game. It's just a cool thing to see just for that reason.
Yeah, you can, like roll a Shadow Priest, and there's still, there's not the battle pet system, but there are still some pets you can collect and pick up, so you can.
Yeah. I used to be a big altaholic in Wrath, and that was before pets were account wide, but I still really like pets, so I would collect pets, and I ground out that red whelpling, and then I would switch alts, and then I would do it all over again. I ground the whelp like 3 times before they made them account wide, and I could finally stop.
Yeah, I think the Dark Whelpling was the first thing I actually ground that I was very, that was like a big deal that I was really excited to get. And I also remember making money. I would buy the white kitten, and I would keep selling and transferring it. So that was cool as well. But yeah, the Dark Whelpling I think would be my sort of special favorite early pet. Another cool thing about Classic and me was that in Vanilla, like I was playing and I was having fun, and then I was one of the first people on the server to get the ZG Tiger. And that's what made me take the game very seriously, because I'm like, oh, everyone's expecting me in Ironforge, and I'm one of, like 3 people with this, and I don't want to look like I'm undeserving, or I don't want people to get angry with me or jealous or think that this person that, doesn't know what she's doing has it. So yeah, it was actually, I think, my first CG run too. I just rolled the highest, so I got really into theory crafting and spreadsheets and signing up for more raids, and because I was one of the newer raiders, I didn't have a ton of DKP, but so I'd research like what were the items that nobody wanted, that were the tier set that were still really good, so I could do good DPS even if it wasn't, everyone like really wanted their tier set even though it wasn't amazing, but it was a status thing, so I'd always have like the weird clown suit of nothing matching, but it was good for DPS.
Yeah, that sounds smart. Yeah. But yeah, without transmog, I guess that's when you look like a clown. And that's something else that we get to experience now on Classic. No transmog.
Yeah. So before we go into the anniversary stuff, just transmog reminded me, I just want to run down some quick Wowhead things that we are doing or will do for Classic, because everyone keeps asking me. We have a Classic database. We have a version to make it look like Thoughtbot. So yes, we brought back Thoughtbot. We have all the Thoughtbot comments. We have all the Alakazam comments uploaded to the classic Wowhead pages. There are some things we do not have yet, like exact NPC and quest locations. This is because we need the actual client running and getting data from people running classic with the add-on. So there's obviously a very small percentage of people, but we are working on that. It's just something that will take longer. Items and spells, for however Blizzard has it, are easier to get updated on the site quicker than NPCs and quests. We added foreign language versions of Wowhead to the site today. So there's like Russian and French and German and Portuguese and other languages. A few days ago, we fixed a bug where spells were showing coefficients instead of damage ranges. And we have a lot of little stuff like that we're improving. And I think our next bug improvement in that vein will be getting the item filters to work and removing all the stat filters from later expansions and re-adding a lot of the classic ones. The dressing room works, so all the classic only options and the older models work on the classic Wowhead dressing room. All the other races are gone, which is funny because you don't have a barbershop in classic, so you need to plan what your character looks like and get it right. You can't change it. So the dressing room is important for that. And also because you had the clown suits, you usually won't really have the matching set, so the dressing room can let you have that moment of glory where you've got matching tier 2 and you look great, even though in game you look like a total mess.
I actually did not know you can't change your hair. I mean, it makes sense, but
no barbershop,
because it was there in Wrath, right? So in my head, it's like, yeah, it's in that corner, near the trade district. I'll just go there if I decide to change hairstyle, but I guess not. That's good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. So we've also been hiring for guide writers. We have some solid guides up, but we're looking to expand our class and dungeon and more high-end section. We've gotten like 200 applications, I think, in 3 days. So I have a lot to read through, but we appreciate all your support. And we'll be, going through and assigning them to people soon. But yeah, so we've been really busy with classic Wowhead, and still more to come. We're excited about it, and I think we're really excited because it's not going to surprisingly change on us. Like, in BFA, you think you can make a feature really good, and then it just suddenly changes on you or the data breaks. Like, we had a really good artifact calculator, and that just lasted an expansion. So,
yeah.
It's like, we had a garrison calculator, and that lasted an expansion. So it's nice knowing that if you're building something for Classic, it'll stay there and be useful forever. Or it won't be like, oh, we made this Azerite finder, and then Blizzard abandoned Azerite and made the Heart of Azeroth. Like it feels good if we're going to do something, we know it will be useful for a few years as opposed to live.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
I was
going to say the next topic was exciting, unless you had something to say about Classic.
I was going to say this last bit. A lot of people wonder what they need to do in order to be able to receive a Classic Beta invitation. And while we talked a little bit briefly before about how they seem to have targeted specific people for this wave, if you want to be one of the future people, you need to make sure that you've opted in for Classic Beta on this link here. So battle.net/account/management/beta profile. I'll put it in the chat as well. Remember to pick EU if you're actually on EU. That one is a US link. You need to tick the Classic Beta part to show that you're interested, and that's how you are able to get invited. A lot of people also asked me if you need to have an active subscription, and I think Perk confirmed that you did not need to have that, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that was a special edge case, but Blizzard did say you needed the active sub, I think. Oh, wait, the active sub was to reserve 3 names on August 13th. And I think people assumed that you needed the sub to be chosen. But a few people, like some podcasters or some vanilla content creators, said that they weren't subscribing on him, but I don't know if that was just an exception because they had a lot of feedback otherwise. Maybe the randomly select people have to have active subs.
I think for this one they might have put more thought into it, but it's hard to know because I think in the past when they would give out, let's say, BFA beta, there were some people who got it who didn't have an active subscription. So I'm not sure if they're changing the model in any way or if that could still happen. I guess we'll see. But don't subscribe just to get a beta key, because then you might be disappointed. But
yeah, very likely.
But yeah, you never know. I guess it might increase your chance. We don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we can go ahead.
Yeah, another thing that I learned at the event last week, which was super popular, is that obviously WoW is having a 15th anniversary celebration, and it's twofold. There is a collector's edition box as well as a cool Deathwing like mount in game. So let's talk about the box first. The box is amazing. It's got a Ragnaros statue. It has 2 alabaster mounts. It has a collectible Onyxia's pin. It has an Azeroth map mouse pad, and it has some fine art prints like the Ragnaros classic WoW art. I got to see the statue up close and personal. It looks really cool because it's all metallic, so the light hits off it very nicely. A lot of the Blizzard statues have realistic color, like reds and blues and greens, but this is just all like black and gold on it. So that was very very cool. It's around 11 inches tall, and I thought it looked really neat. The alabaster mounts will be available on the shop as a bundle in August for $25, and they are not recolored griffins and wyverns. They are like high-res models, and they're meant to look like statues and have different animations, so they're not just a recolor. And the pin is cool too.
One question. You mentioned that they're going to be on the store. Does that mean it's going to be 2 separate ones, or one depending on like Alliance and Horde?
I think it changes based on your faction.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. So basically, if you don't want to get this collector's edition, you can wait until these mounts are on the store, so you won't actually miss out on them. But if you get the collector's edition, then you get that included together with the statue and everything.
Yeah. Also, the box is pretty sweet. The one thing it doesn't have is a game. So it might be the same cost as, BFA Collector's Edition, but BFA, you got a game with it. This has no game, but you get, I guess, the statue instead. You get more stuff. And it's $99 US. At this point, it was available for sale on the Gear Shop, and it sold out. But I believe it's available at select other retailers. That it sold out instantly. I don't know.
So it's not coming back?
I think it might be coming back. I also emailed community being like, "Hey,
I did not get a chance."
I was like, "Hey, Wowhead would love to give some of these away," and they're like, "We'll have details soon." So
okay.
They will ship in October, so maybe they'll have time to come back. I'm gonna check on Amazon, I think. But yeah, they sold out insanely fast. Also, as a side note, the EU Gear Shop has adorable Moonkin plushies, and the US shop doesn't, and I can't get them, so I'm very sad.
I saw that. I'm holding out hope. Maybe it'll make its way over here.
I know.
If it does, I need to know immediately. Please add me.
So what has you most excited about this box of stuff? And if it was on sale and not sold out, would you be buying it?
I was on the fence because I'm trying to not collect statues just because I don't have room for statues and plushies, so I picked the one that I can't break. So I was really on the fence about it, and I kind of like the mouse pad, but I would probably hate myself if I spent $100 for a mouse pad. So
yeah, that's a good
couldn't decide, and now they're sold out, so now I don't have to decide. But I really like the alabaster mounts, so I'm very excited that those are going to be available on the shop separately, because then I can still get those without having to actually get the box, especially if I can't get the box anyway.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
I felt like the statue looks amazing, and I also really like the box. But 99, I was like, that's a lot of money. I'm not sure. And by the time I even had any time to think about it, it was already sold out. So I guess that made my decision for me. But I'm hoping it'll come back, and then I'll have to reconsider, because it does look amazing. I really like it.
Yeah, it looks really nice as a background, and it catches the light well. And Ragnaros is always, he's such a fun character. He's like holding the hammer, and his pose is really good. In the article when I visited it, I took some pictures of Pepe staring Ragnaros down. So had some fun pictures there. But Yeah, I was sort of debating too. I'm like, oh, it's $99.99. I should think about this. Oh, it's sold out. I'll think about it later, type thing.
Yeah.
If it ever goes back on sale, though, pro tip, you get free shipping with $100 purchase or more at the gear shop. So consider tossing like a, I don't know, keychain or magnet into your shopping cart because it will end up saving you money. You'll get free shipping. So.
That's good to know.
This next part was super big. Like, I don't know, this is probably the biggest news for Wowhead this week. Like even bigger than Classic was that you can get a Deathwing Mountain game.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Wait, that was the wrong picture. Let me show you guys. There it is.
So cool.
It does look really cool.
This was like a minute-long segment in the hour-long presentation, and when I had an interview with some people discussing the anniversary, but they were more focused on like the history of Blizzard. And when I asked them about the event, they said they weren't part of it. And I'm like, I need to know about this mount. It just was such a tiny part of the event, and it just blew up into this gigantic thing when I released the news on it. So there was an Obsidian World Breakout. I know, and it's Deathwing.
I know.
So you get Deathwing. Well, you get Deathwing's twin, not really Deathwing. If you do a bunch of challenges, which will culminate in some LFR quality raid where you fight a lot of bosses from WoW's past. And you get little Nefarian, so you get his son, his child, just by logging in.
Okay, so Pet is logging in, and Mount you have to work for.
Yes. It looks so cool. And I think, I mean, it makes sense from a marketing standpoint. You know, Molten Core was the 10th anniversary and we got the Core Hound. And, you know, 10 years ago was like Cataclysm and Deathwing. And obviously Deathwing is a major character as well. But it fits with all the BFA tinfoil hat speculation because Deathwing was involved with N'Zoth and Cataclysm, and N'Zoth is coming back. So it fits the story of BFA as well, that Black Dragons are returning and doing bad things. Like, it's so cool. Everyone wants to know if the Mount Special does a barrel roll. We did not see that in action. We just saw it flying around a little bit during the presentation. But yeah, it's so cool.
The model is very unique.
I know. It's really good. And yeah, it's not a shop mount, but it looks cool.
It's not a shop mount. You can get it in game. And then I assume after the event is over, you won't be able to get it again, right?
I think that's how it's going to work, similar to the like pet and weapon illusion and all that from Rag.
Yeah,
the Core Hound mount.
The Core Hound as well.
You know, there's it Hate Spark, the tiny. I think that was only
that pet. So, yes, that's true. Yeah. But that one is tradable though, so you can technically still find it in the game. Right?
I think so.
Yeah, you can buy it for a bajillion gold.
Yes, you can. Can buy it for a lot of gold, but you won't be able to buy Deathwing for gold. He's or Deathwing's cousin.
That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah.
Wait.
Well, almost. I think it's like 9 years.
Yeah, you know, we're getting there.
We're getting there. Because I started playing around 10 years ago, and that was right before Kata. So, 1 year to go, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think that the LFR challenge will be too difficult.
No,
I'm
probably not.
Probably going to be along the lines of Molten Core. They probably want you to get it if you.
It was really more about the experience
during the event, and then do things.
I think Molten Core is really bad though. Like I thought it took a really long.
Yeah, that was actually.
Yeah.
That was unintentionally hard.
Yeah. So maybe they'll learn from that and make it less painful.
I remember trying the Dispel boss, but Dispels have cooldowns now. That was harder than it would have been back then.
Yep.
Because we couldn't decurse fast enough. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. And I just remember, speaking of the whole topic of mounts, and in relation to Classic WoW, in Classic, your mounts were an item in your bag, right?
Yes.
That's interesting. So I realized maybe the mounts are expensive, so maybe it wasn't possible. But let's say you get all the mounts that are available. How many mounts are we talking about? I
mean, you could fill up a lot of bags. I mean, you also had a bank. I believe. So
that's true. You could store some of them. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I definitely had a lot of junk taking up because pets were also in your bag as well. So, you know, I would have all the weplings, and I would have the cat, and like the disgusting oozling, and a lot of the warg pup, a lot of little things like that. But yeah, like each vendor had like 3 or 4 of the rare quality ones, and then similar 3 or 4 of the epic quality mounts. And usually didn't have all of them at the start because you needed to be exalted with that faction if you weren't the faction to purchase them, and being exalted took a really long time. So a lot of people had to pick and choose, you know, what faction they'd want to buy stuff from after, you know, getting their own writing.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, I do realize price-wise, you know, it may not be very realistic to even think about getting all the mounts. But it was just like a sort of hypothetical question, I guess. What if you end up filling all your bags and then you can't do anything because you don't want to delete your mounts? So what are you supposed to do?
Right.
But it's a good point with the bank as well.
In that situation. Yeah. Like, oh, poor me! I have so many
mounts,
and I have every mount, and I've got the scarab bug, and I've
Oh yeah, and warlocks get a free mount, right?
You do the quest for the mounts.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't exactly say free because the quest for the epic one was very involved, and I believe you had to buy things along the way, and that cost gold as well. But it was more, it was like very lore and flavorful.
Yeah. Okay.
Like you had to go to Dire Mall and summon things and defeat a fiery red steed, then you would loot it for yourself.
Okay, so you have to spend gold in the quests. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I actually remember
like
picking up the
challenge.
quest. I remember picking up the quest and doing maybe a couple steps of it during Wrath, but I never actually finished it because I was very new to the game, so I had a lot of unfinished businesses, a lot of unfinished quests, and we were given the mounts. We didn't have to do the quest to get the mount. The quests were just there for, I guess, flavor, and so I never ended up doing it. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I did that on my alt warlock in Wrath because I'm just like, hey, you know, like I can get this, but I just want to see what the quest is.
Yeah, and I think if I had been given another year or two, I probably would have done it too. It's just I was very new to everything, so everything was new and cool, so I couldn't really pick and choose what parts I wanted to do.
Yeah. So another thing I got a sneak peek of that was revealed this week was the Thrall Cinematic we all saw yesterday, Safe Haven.
Yeah.
So this, you know, we on the ongoing saga of what is Sourfang up to after, you know, masterminding the burning of Teldrassil, we now have another kind of quiet cinematic where he meets up with Thrall, who is a farmer in Nagrand, and I mean, we've all probably seen it already. So I don't know if we want to maybe share like what stood out, any specific thoughts on the cinematic. I mean, I think the general knee-jerk reaction was like, "Oh my God, Thrall is back! He'll save everyone!" Like, why is Sylvan is so mean to Thrall? But there's like a lot of nuance when you keep watching it, and some of Thrall's replies are sort of like strange when you think about it more, and you're like, "Why did the assassins run in?" So yeah, just curious to hear your thoughts on that whole cinematic, because I have thoughts too.
So... My biggest question about it, or at least the thing that I'm interested to find out more, is what does Agra think about all this, and then what's her role going to be going forward? Because she and the kid are not in the cinematic at all. They're not far, whatever that means. And, you know, he just makes this life-changing decision all by himself real quick, and he's going back to war or to something. So I'm interested to see if she's just going to be really supportive, if she's going to have ideas about that, if she's going to help, if she's going to stay home, plant turnips and take care of the baby. Like, I'm curious about that angle of it.
Yeah, I'd be curious about her too. I think some people were speculating that maybe she had died, but I think that would be really weird, especially because she played a big role in Legion. You know, she was at the Shaman Hall, like Thrall was moping, and she's just like, okay, I'm doing my own thing and I help the Shaman. I feel like it was weird we didn't get to see her or see them talking because, I mean, it would slow down the narrative momentum. But I agree that I do have a lot of questions with her. I mean, we've seen her, at first she wasn't going to be in Warlords, but then she followed Thrall through and was in the Grand, you know, through that whole epic quest line with Garrosh. And then she had a bigger role in Legion than Thrall. So I feel like she would have to be around. I mean, maybe they're just very independent, or because Nagrand is the ancestral home of Thrall's family, maybe if Thrall's off doing his own thing, she would have enough support with his extended family to have them take care of the baby, either with her or if she wanted to do her own thing. I'm not sure. There's also a lot of parallels to Thrall as his father Durotan, and like we saw in the Warcraft movie and also the lore, Draka, his wife, was very fierce, and I think she went to the dark portal like very pregnant. In the movie she gave birth right after. Like she's very fierce. She doesn't let hardship hold her back. But it is weird that he makes this life-changing decision without consulting with her. It seems odd. I was also curious, like with the assassins, there was only 2 of them. It seemed really dumb for them to take on Sourfang and Thrall, and you almost have to wonder if the assassins were gonna take her and the baby out. Because
maybe.
But I mean, she's still a powerful.
What good does that do, though? You've just made him mad now.
Yeah, well, you prevented baby Thrall from you prevented Thrall's story from continuing of
the Harry Potter situation.
Yeah, well, I mean that was the whole thing. That the parents were killed. The parents were killed, and then the child survived, and then became Thrall. So you break that cycle by, I don't know, taking out the whole family. But yeah, I am glad you brought up Agra, because I'm like, yeah, like where is she? And it I don't know, I like to think that she would have the support of the extended family and the great mother, Thrall's grandmother, and maybe Thrall is just moping and she'd be happy to have him do something besides be a kind of shitty farmer. And I thought, well, look at that picture, like that house is just falling apart. It's like,
it's true, yeah, he's not doing a great job.
Yeah, it's like I see a lot of rocks and not really a lot of wheat going on here.
I think they just decided that they wanted the cinematic to just put all the focus on Saurfang and Thrall, just to give it more. Not sure what word I'm looking for, but to make it feel more powerful, I guess. And I don't think it was meant to be a case of, oh, he's making a decision without the family. I think a lot of people are making fun over this, but the idea of including the wife and the kid would imply making more, spending more money on more animations, and is it worth it? It's pretty powerful as it is with Saurfang and Thrall alone, and also they there was one more thing that I was going to say. I had one more point, but I forgot what it was.
So
but yeah,
I can also.
Oh, yeah. About making the decision alone. I think him making that decision in that moment was just because he felt so protective. Because he was told that those assassins were, in fact, going for him, right? Because Saurfang was following them. They weren't following Saurfang. And that made him realize, hey, my family's not safe. I have to do something about it. So it's not necessarily, leaving them behind or not letting them decide on anything. He just felt protective, I think.
Yeah, building upon that, I could also see that, he doesn't run off. He doesn't storm through the dark portal or take mage portal.
Yeah, he might even pass by them first.
Yeah, he picks up. He picks up his axe, and I would hope he would. I don't know. I feel like he would need to prepare a bit more before just, running off to Orgrimmar. So maybe this was a sign, I'm burying up my past and symbolically taking out this axe, and maybe the next step is they go to the house and she sees him with the axe and she's like, oh, I guess he's ready to go to war again. Let's all sit and talk for a few days type thing. I mean, I guess the cinematic wanted to end on a note that Thrall was ready to consider embracing his past and taking a more active role in the Horde again. So it had to end on a symbolic note of him, literally taking his axe out from under the ground and hoisting it above his head. Like his father did in Warlords of Draenor, which was another point I wanted to highlight. He looks very similar to Durotan in the Warcraft movie, and Durotan in Warlords has a similar axe. I don't think it's the same axe, I don't think we know what happened to Durotan's axe in the Lord of the Clans game, which isn't canon. Thrall finds the axe, but that's not in WoW. But there was a lot of parallels, and his father also died trying to do the right thing and kept going against Gul'dan, and then was assassinated. So maybe Thrall thought that he could sort of hide himself away and not have the same fate happen to his family if he did that.
We got a cat giving us a visit.
Oh, cat.
She can't decide if she wants to be on the lap or if she wants to be on the table just watching me. She's like walking back and forth. But yeah, I mean, and also just a general comment on the cinematic. It looks amazing. When can we get a movie like this?
I know. I think if you added all the cinematics together, we'd have a TV episode by this point.
Right. Could have like a short series telling a bunch of stories like that.
So what did we think of the spies? Because they could go in many directions, because it seems that sending 2 spies to take out Thrall and then surprise Saurfang, they seem very undermatched, especially because Sylvanas knows that Saurfang killed many Dark Rangers by himself in Swamp of Sorrows. And if Sylvanas was sending spies to Thrall, it always seems like she's one step ahead of us. Like, did she mean for Bane to free Derek Proudmoore? She seems happy that we're all, escaping from her in 8.2. I don't know, I just feel like it's like, did she want Thrall to get fired up and join this cause against her? She has a lot of really strange actions. So I'm confused by that whole part, but I think it's gotten a lot of people being like, oh, Sylvanas wanted to attack Thrall, like she's really evil, that's a step too far, we love Thrall. But it's really puzzling how she seems to be doing things to want everyone to band together against her, like there's gonna be some trap set for all of us.
I think that's a really interesting angle, but I'm not convinced that that's what's actually happening. I think it might be one of those situations where people theorycraft about like a movie or a TV show, and they make these really incredible theories that involve like double crossing and politics, and then you watch it, and then it is what it is, and it wasn't that great, and that's just what it is. So I'm wondering if they aren't just trying to push Sylvanas past, like she's already kind of irredeemable, and I'm wondering if they aren't just trying to finish that job so that if we do eventually meet her as a boss, people are feeling better about killing her. I would like to be optimistic and think there's an underplot, but I'm not that hopeful.
Okay.
What makes you think that she knew that Saurfang would be there?
Well, there was the line where Thrall gets mad at Saurfang and is like, like they followed you, and he's like, no, he's like, I followed them, and I'm just picturing like Saurfang is this stealthy rogue. Like, how did they not know Saurfang was behind them? So
because would she really just send 2 against 2? Like I was thinking maybe she was thinking 2 against 1.
Yeah, but that still seems really bad considering.
I mean, yeah, that is also kind of bad.
So it just seems weird how she sent assassins to Thrall, and then conveniently Saurfang was also going to Thrall. So it just seems like
as if she's trying to path them together.
Yeah, like, oh, I'll send one assassin, dude's gonna die, but it will make these 2 really hate me, and she seems to be doing things to make everyone hate her. Maybe we keep trying to theorycraft like me because she had a relatively rich background leading up to BFA, so we're like, wait, there has to be a twist. They wouldn't just make a statue of a character and then turn them evil, which, they also did that with Garrosh. But I don't know, I guess I keep thinking there has to be I
want to believe it's
interesting
twist.
Yeah.
Because we don't want just another boss to kill. I think we've said that since the beginning, but it does feel a little bit like maybe that is what's gonna happen after all.
Yeah, like
they have said that it's not Garrosh again.
Yeah,
they said specifically. I'm just waiting for it to not be Garrosh again.
What would it
be? So far,
then?
It looks real similar.
Yeah, so that's why I'm thinking that she gets everyone hates her. She gets them together, and then she pulls a Lordaeron battle again. And she's like, "Oh, great, you're all in the same place now. Like, blight on all of you. Like, like just make Alliance and Horde leaders all hate her. Get them into the same place, and like I don't know, send a Valkyrie on them or something. Is conveniently have all the important people I don't know, held hostage in some form.
Yeah, maybe she'll end up killing 1 or 2 actual leaders then.
If I get some undead races out of it, I'm down. Go for it. Life for everything.
I guess we'll see.
Another angle that I was thinking about is that maybe Sourfang is lying. Like, we think he's really honorable, but if you read the novella A Good War, he participates in that whole deception angle on behalf of Sylvanas to confuse the Alliance spies. So maybe Sourfang like really wants Thrall to hate Sylvanas and get fired up. So he's like, oh yeah, he's like, these rogues, they weren't totally following me. Yeah, they were, looking for you randomly instead. Like, maybe he's slightly twisting the truth to get Thrall being like, wow, this is horrible, I'm gonna grab my axe. Yeah, you finally convinced me.
Maybe he's just embarrassed that he got followed. Like, no, exactly. I totally followed them.
Yeah, I was following them. I mean, they were behind me, but I was following them for sure.
It just really sounds so hilarious. It's like, oh yes, I'm this gigantic orc warrior. I was very stealthy and followed the 2 undead.
That you can't see, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
It was really cool to see stealth in a cinematic,
was really
the way
cool.
they actually portrayed it. I loved that.
Yeah,
that was cool. And the whole Thrall
the sand.
Take the rogue and just throw them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like new BP move.
Oh yeah, that snap right in front of him and then just dead on the floor. That was really cool.
Maybe it could explain why Sourfang was asking where the wife and children were. If he was thinking that the spies were going to ambush them, maybe he wanted to make sure they were out of the way. Like, although that would also be really stupid, being like, oh, where are your wife and kids? Oh, they're slightly far away, unprotected. Okay, let's take them out first. I don't know where he's going with that, but it's interesting he was asking about them if he thought the spies were going to ambush them.
That's actually a very good point. Mm-hmm. If you think someone's ambushing your friend, you don't go to your friend and ask out loud, where's your family?
Yeah.
How's the security on your house? Stuff cleared up.
Oh, that's a good point. Didn't even think about that.
So, but yeah, I know other people are complaining that, why do we keep seeing the Horde characters and not the Alliance characters? I think that's somewhat valid, especially as we'll get to later in the notes. They were like, oh, Tehran's story is sort of like on the back burner for now. But I mean, it was a very good, very powerful cinematic. I do wish that they, had some more with Alliance characters figuring into it. But we did get a lot of Jaina cinematics, at least, which was cool. And hopefully we'll get some Ashara cinematics for 8.2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if we have nothing else, I think we could move on some of the PTR stuff. We have some cool kind of mechanical models to show off. The first is Pepe.
Yes, we have a robot Pepe.
Yep.
There he is. Yeah. Pepe robot, disguised from Mechagon.
Yep. So we're not exactly sure where this Pepe is, but he's somewhere. Also, the image is missing his glowy eyes that then shoot red lasers, but we have a video of that. It looks very
really
cool.
It shoots laser?
Yeah, I can link the video quickly if we wanted to play it. It's like a minute long or just a few minutes of it, like a few seconds of it. 1 sec. I'll link it in Discord. Wowhead videos, Mecha Pepe.
Or can you link it in the document?
Oh, yeah, I can do that instead. Where did it go? Sorry, my face is white.
It's okay.
Okay, I linked it.
I see it. And let's see, what's the fastest way to get this to show you guys? Well, we can talk about the next video clip in the meantime, as I get this one to show.
Yeah.
We have a dance clip from, was it Female Mechanomes?
Yeah.
Let me show you guys how that one looks. Right here. This might be
immediately
loud
wanted it for my
See?
normal gnome.
Yeah, it looks
Better than the normal gnome
It
dance.
does. It does. I love it. There you go. Okay, reducing the volume as well. But there you go. They look so cool. I love it.
Yep.
Does the video have only the female version or the male version too?
I don't think there was a male version at this point.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, it's adorable. And it's funny now since I've been playing Gnome Warlock the past 2 days, or past 1 day I guess, and seeing that too makes me want to play that. But it's such a hard decision to go from human, on my main that is, because of the big perk of reputation boost. It helps so much with reputation farms and everything as a collector. Alright, I think I've got the video now for Mecha Pepe.
Yeah, you can show a few seconds of it, but it's cute. Like, he has one eye thing that moves to the other.
There we go. Alright, let's see the laser. I don't see a laser.
Oh, it happens in a few
go.
seconds. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. That's really cool. That's really cool. And we don't know where this is at the moment, correct?
No, just we think somewhere in Mechagon, and it's called a tiny clockwork key.
I can just see that guarding someone's garden and just like zapping away squirrels.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's awesome. Thanks for the link.
Yeah. Yep.
Female mechanomes.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that those will ever make it in as an allied race?
Yeah, I think they will be. I could see like Vopera for Horde and then the Mechanomes for Alliance, because the Vopera are sort of like goblins and the Mechanomes are obviously like gnomes.
For a moment I forgot that they're not even confirmed as an allied race. In my brain it's like it's already decided. Like, yeah, we just don't know when, but you know, soon allied race. But good point, it's not even confirmed. There's just so much customization.
Yeah.
They could do that too.
I love their hair. Like, I love especially the female one, how they have the gears in their hair as the ponytail holders. I think that's super cute.
It is super cute.
So, yeah, before we move on to more of the in-depth PTR stuff, I think it's a good time to remind people we have a giveaway going on for the Moonkin Hatchling with the keyword Boomkin. And we also have some new subs.
Yeah, we got some resubs since last time. We got Aegis with his 16-month resub. Thank you very, very much. We got Aham and Swiggy Swoo with the 17 months. And also White Tiger 1974 with the 3 months. So thank you very much for all the resubs and fresh sub. We appreciate it. And yes, Boomkin in the chat if you want to enter the giveaway to win a Moonkin Hatchling. A pet which dances with you.
Yep. It's different Alliance and Horde version.
Oh yeah, that's true. The skin is slightly different depending on whether you're Alliance or Horde.
Yeah.
You actually have to level them separately if you have them.
That's actually true.
Separate
Yes,
pets. You just
they're
can't
separate
summon
pets.
the opposite faction one. Yeah.
Kind of like the
like
guild pet, right? The guild vendor pet. Wait, is it even a vendor anymore? I don't think it is a vendor.
I think so.
Is it?
The Herald?
I think that was
an achievement.
Okay. Yeah, I think you just buy the
vendor.
I thought you buy the champion seals for it. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, that's a good point. They are 2 separate pets.
Yep. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
more
Najatar
stuff.
We've been doing a lot of Najatar questing, and we don't want to narrate all of it, but some interesting things stood out, which were also covered at my 8.2 interview I had with Jeremy Fiesel. So Najatar is the zone of Queen Ashara. It's the ruins of her city of the Elven Empire before the Sundering, and now after the Sundering, it is underwater. And it's cool because you get to sort of see the ruins and you get to learn more about her. And she's this really funny, snarky host. And what the devs took care to point to me during the interview was that there's actually an Easter egg area where you get to relive the moments leading up to the Sundering and Warbringer's Ashara. So, when Ashara tries to have that bubble, and you can actually see that area and the remains of the fish talking to her lying on the ground, which I think is a really cool part. Mm-hmm. So, Blizzard wanted us to know about that. So I thought that was cool.
It is also really cool. Very cool detail.
The zone's really big. Like, it's not just, it's wide, it's deep. There are different layers to the zone, and when we talk about a layer of caves, we don't just mean a cave. It's basically, there's almost like a basement to Nashatar. It's really just 2 floors. It's not just, here's a zone and then like a little network of caves. It's pretty in depth.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, all right. Do we want to have the video playing a little bit? Just to share things,
yes,
or
I think that's a good idea. So I have the video. It's a long video. We don't have to watch all of it, but we can have it playing as we're just talking about Nashatar. Let's see.
Oh yeah.
There we
go.
Yeah, volume should be good as well.
Cool. Yeah, so basically in this video, we're just showing different parts. The lost city of Zinashari is there, which is what used to rule before the Sundering. We can interact with ghosts there. There's lots of ramps and waterfalls and caves to explore. There's giant coral that you can sort of ricochet from coral to coral. And yeah, it's a really cool, intricate zone. Lots of different colors. It doesn't look like Vashj'ir 2.0. I mean, some parts are similar, but other parts do look a bit different. You've got some that look very night elven, but then you have some that are creepier with more purple accents, sort of reflecting the Zoth's influence. You have some coral formations. You have different types of sea life. You have what I think is very sad and kind of funny. You have the wreck of the Old Blanchie and wreck of the Hungry River Beast, which are the Alliance and Horde ships. And the names are funny because those are 2 ships from the garrison. And the Horde boat, I think, is the name of the first transport everyone gets. So it's like weird continuity that, we've sunk the remains of our garrison shipyard here.
That's funny.
Also, I think that with the character reset, the quests are still being elaborated on, so I don't want to get into the quests in super big detail, but if you wanted to show them the picture of Ashara with the wine glass, I thought that was hilarious.
Yes, we have it here somewhere. Let's see. Ashara with the wine glass. She's villaining
correctly.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Yeah, so as you go through the zone, she sort of shows up and she's like, I expected you to be here. Like, congrats on finishing this world quest. You figured how to join the raid. Like, I've prepared a feast for you. So yeah, she's villaining correctly. She's very cool.
I saw this in a tweet, actually, and I couldn't stop thinking how cool that actually is. So random, like just strolling around with a wine glass.
I think what's so appealing about her is that she seems to be really enjoying herself.
Yeah,
and we don't get a lot of that
fun.
in BFA. Like, everyone is not having fun in BFA. Like, everyone is very tortured by their past and their ghosts, and she's just having a blast and, like, being very optimistic and thrilled with everything. So I think that's why she's so intriguing to me. But another thing we wanted to highlight that we learned since the last show was Benthic Gear, which is getting more interesting each past.
Yeah, because we briefly mentioned them, and now we have a little bit more info.
Yeah, so they're like Timeless Isle gear because you can get them at a certain level and then get tokens and you upgrade them more, and then they become pretty good at the end. But it differs from Timeless Isle gear because they don't have any RNG stats on them. But they have sort of RNG equips. So, for example, you could get gloves that reduce shadow damage, or your gloves could maybe let you find resources for a Murloc trading game. So if you're raiding, you probably want the resistance gloves over, the Murloc items. But there's a lot of fun items that are a mix of combat procs, but then also sort of weird exploration procs. So, for example, there's a waste that deals damage to aberrations. You do extra damage. And then the world boss and a raid boss are also classified as aberrations. So that could be really good for DPS. But then there's like a cloak that has the proc where you can loot random fish from creatures in Nejatar, which does not seem very related to DPS.
Yeah.
And one of the cloaks, one of the ones, the access to Murloc Trader's special stocks, I think that one is tied to looting one of the new mounts coming, one of the seahorses, which is cool.
Oh. Wait, so how are they related?
So I think I'm gonna sneeze soon, but the proc is that you have access to the special stock, and then I think with the mini game, if you have the cloak equipped, you see more of the trader's wares and can buy the mount.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's cool.
It's like an interesting mix of items, and then there's things like your swim speed is increased, your mount's swim speed is increased. You can 5% larger while in Najatar. Your falling damage is reduced in Najatar.
Yeah, a little bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. We actually data mined more yesterday, so I'm just gonna look at these. Oh yeah. You are more likely to find items connected to Najatar's ecosystem.
Okay.
But then it's also, while you take damage in Najatar, you have a chance to deal damage and slow the attacker for 15% for 5 seconds. Which to me sounds like that would be really good in a fight that has ads, if you are, a tank or something like that. Also not on the notes, but I'm just going to throw a quick link in because I thought of this after doing the notes. This build that also added some Najatar procs also added a lot of weird Eternal Palace item procs, including a bunch of items that are called Ashara's garments. And the more of you that wear Ashara's garments, the stronger your item procs are. So I thought that was interesting.
Wait, can you repeat that? The more...
So there's a group of items that collectively are known as Ashara's garments.
Okay.
And the more people in your party that have one of these items, the stronger the item proc is. So for example, there's the Goddess's Wargreaves, and the equip is that you get additional critical strike split between members of your party, and if you have more people with an Ashara garment equipped, the critical strike
to be divided.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool. So you want people to wear them.
Yeah, so all that seems very interesting, and so many items are getting weird procs from the Eternal Palace.
Yeah, it feels like they're experimenting a lot of things, because we saw that in Crucible too. A lot of new, not maybe procs, but the different effects, I guess, on pieces of gear. And now we have a little bit of experimenting with these items as well. It's going to be interesting to see how it ends up being.
Yeah, I asked Jeremy Fiesel about this a bit at my interview, saying, hey, BFA started off pretty straightforward, and the items from Uldir didn't really do much, and then we saw some effects in Desire Lore, and then like Crucible was more sophisticated, and now we have, benthic items and all these raid items, and it keeps getting more and more complex, not to mention, Mechagon with the rings and everything. Like, is this a deliberate thing to make things more elaborate over time? And he just was saying that they wanted to get items to a point where people got excited about all of them again, and to the extent that people were excited about Legion legendaries, or even more so. So that's why they're just trying to make things that sound really cool. So I don't know. I think that they're getting there. I think that they are very interesting. So we'll see how they turn out.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It's going to be.
I like the idea. I really like the Ashara's Palace garments thing. One, because I know this isn't how it works, but there's a fun mental image of your whole raid just going and beelining for her closet and just raiding her closet, and everybody's like putting on her dresses and stuff. Great. But it kind of creates that same social thing that we sort of had with the incandescence trinket, the one that gives you the yellow circle underneath you, and you can only stack with people that also have it. You've got like the cool kids club, the people that have it, and then this is a more wholesome thing where we're encouraging everybody to get it, and you're like excited when not only you but your raiders get the gear. So that would be kind of like a fun social thing to have within your guild. You can
that's a good point,
more than just your own loot.
Because that trinket kind of separates you, but this is just the more the merrier.
The trinket's hilarious because then you can bully people that don't have it by being like, no, you stand over there.
Oh, yeah.
Don't take my proc.
They do have a kind of version of this. It's called the Cursed Lover's Ring. And you bind your ring to another Cursed Lover's Ring, and then you sacrifice your health to heal the wearer of your bound ring for the same amount while they are within 20 yards and more injured than you. And if you're familiar with Ashara in the Encounter Journal, in the first part of her fight, she has these cursed lovers put on a tragedy for you. So it's taken from the first phase of the encounter, but it's another thing. Like, it's like, I guess picture being like, oh, like, do you love me today? Like, am I going to be bound to your ring for this raid? Oh no, we broke up. You're partnering with someone else now.
Yeah. That's cool. Little details like that.
Then it's like, oh, we have to stand next to each other within 20 yards, and like, you need to be more injured, but oh no, now we both stood in like the bad stuff, so now we're both injured. So I can see a lot of funny things happening with that ring.
I like that.
Yeah.
That'll be really fun.
Interesting. I just was mousing over more items. There's an item that pierce your skin with paralytic spines, decreasing your damage done, but also damage taken by 10% for 15 seconds.
Okay.
So
that's metal.
Yeah.
Damage done.
Yeah.
Grab a sea urchin, stab that in, have at it.
Yeah. I think I'd rather complain at my healer for not healing enough. I don't think I need a 10% damage reduction.
Exactly. Wait, these items are all really fun and interesting and seem themed after their things. Like there's a shield called, I think, the Great Reef Barrier, named after the coral reef, and it looks coral and it has an interesting block effect. So I think these items are cool, and they always keep adding more each build, so that's really fun to see.
That's awesome.
So another thing that a lot of people are happy about, which I think all of us care about too, is the budding deep coral. Use your aquatic mounts as ground mounts in Nazjatar.
So Nazjatar is not underwater, correct?
Correct.
But
because yeah, I mean, as you've seen from all the pictures, there's this like wall of water that's been parted. So yeah.
But to still give a sort of watery feeling, what they have now made possible with this item, budding deep coral, is that it allows you to mount your otherwise water mounts as a regular ground mount. And I think that's really cool. I actually have a picture of one of the examples, the seahorse, if I can find it.
So we have seahorses, the rays, like the dark water skate, sharks, like the brine deep bottom feeder, and jellyfish, which right now have clipping issues, and maybe they'll get better. But the seahorses are pretty cool, especially because more seahorses are coming, the Tide Stallions, in 8.2.
So this item...
Do we have more information about the duration of it? That's what I really want to know. Ooh. Because it's a 5 prismatic mana pearl for one item. So is that just while you're in the zone? Is it going to be an hour? Is it going to be a permanent toggle?
I think it's permanent. I see currently the item does not provide any signal that it was enabled, and it persists through logging in and out while in Nazjatar, but the effect is lost when you leave Nazjatar.
Okay.
So I don't know if that means that... Yeah.
It might be...
I really hope I can just buy one and be good, because those mana pearls are for a lot of things. They're for the Benthic Gear, they're for the Benthic Gear upgrade tokens, there's mounts, like...
Yeah, there's the
I don't want to be buying it all the time, but I really want to use it,
But if you lose it by leaving the zone, then I feel like...
Oh, yes, your character is never going to leave Nazjatar.
Are you going to stay there forever? Set up a tent?
Yeah. So, I guess you need to hold onto it and ration them when you want your screenshots.
Yeah.
Unless you have all your Benthic gear and mounts already.
Do we know yet if the item is tradable? Because if it's not, if it is tradable, you could just simply buy it on the auction house.
Interesting. Yeah, it says it's
spend your mana
consumed.
pearls.
Consumed and refundable. That's all I see.
Okay.
It doesn't say bind on use or anything. So maybe. Not sure though. There could be someone just farming mana pearls selling this coral.
Yeah. I think I'd rather spend gold than mana pearls if it is the currency for all of those other mounts and everything.
Yeah. So speaking of a way to get currency, there's also the Battle for Nazjatar World PvP event and rewards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's always sort of going on continuously, and whenever one faction reaches 1,000 points, the battle is reset, and you try to control 1 to 5 points in Nazjatar, and you get more points, the more stuff you earn and hold on to. And when it ends, you get Nazjatar battle commendations and conquest, and you get more, obviously, when you win. And you can buy some cool things like the Inkscale Deep Seeker Tight Stallion mount for 150 tokens, and cheap versions of the pennant toys, Alliance War Banner, Horde War Banner, Alliance War Standard, Horde War Standard, and yeah, you can also get the some essences as well. The Ripple in Space essence. They keep changing names every patch. But yeah, you can. There's also this is part of a PvP meta called Fighting on Two Fronts in Nazjatar to kill players and loot war chests and to acquire these battle commendations. So, I mean, I was just earning them by just doing my thing, and it's like, oh, you won, you got 5 tokens. Oh, you lost, you just get them passively. So it didn't seem too bad, especially if you spend a lot of time farming the zone.
Does it require war mode?
I think it does.
That's a good question.
I think it's my war mode was on by default, maybe.
I imagine it would.
Because otherwise, how would you fight the opposite faction?
Yeah. But yeah, so if you AFK in a cave with war mode, you will passively earn these anywhere in the zone.
Oh, okay.
Another detail I thought was cool, going back to the whole Warlords thing, was that the vendors for these items are the Asher and Quartermasters. So Crafticus, Mindbender, and Dazarian. They're like, oh no, we're in another war zone now. We're selling stuff to you. So it's funny how the garrison ships and the Asheran people are now over here.
So you mean like the same NPCs, basically?
Yeah. Okay. So they, I guess, got relocated from Asheran after that shut down.
I remember people were not super happy about Asheran.
Yeah. So did anything
it trash rant?
Palinka was pumped, though. You should have seen him present that. He's so stoked about it.
Yeah.
It almost makes me want to play it again. Great.
And so we have some lore stuff coming up related to the raid opening, but was there anything not spoilery that you thought was cool in Nazjatar that you wanted me to mention before we talk about the fate of Lady Ashvane?
Nothing crazy. There's some exciting pet battles out there.
Yep.
I like that they're setting them up from the get-go as not fights that you can level pets on, which is kind of a bummer if you're still leveling pets, but at least then you don't make a bunch of 2-pet teams and then all of a sudden they're like, oh no, never mind, and then you have to start over. So
yeah, from what I hear, the Nazjatar pets and their sources, that wasn't really settled until this build even. So they've been taking their time really setting those pets up as opposed to Mechagon. And I also heard that the strat pet battles were pretty drastically changed last week too. So if you were doing strat, you sort of have to redo them now because they changed some stuff up. But yeah, so this next part will be lore and speculation. We will have a spoiler tag up. The raid previews were very like spoilery this time. Usually when there's a raid preview, it's like, oh look, the raid's pretty, but this was like, whoa, there's so much stuff going on in it. So I know Hazel is also interested in raid testing because she has to, do her raid guides. So the first sort of spoilery detail is that we learned what has finally happened to Lady Ashvane. Were you showing a picture or were we just
I have
the video?
A picture.
Okay.
Oops, oh, wait, that's the wrong scene. Oh.
She's special these days.
Yes, she becomes a ugly sea giant, and as she is transforming, she seems kind of mad. Like, I think she expected she'd turn into some, like, hot mermaid like Ashara, but she did not. Because Lady Ashvane's like, we had a deal, Ashara. Give me the power you promised.
Mm-hmm.
And Ashara's like, oh, I intend to. I merely wanted our guest to bear witness to your glorious ascension. And Ashvane's like, no, not like this. What are you doing to me? And Ashara's like,
she actually said glorious ascension?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Oh, man.
And then Ashara's like, you asked to be powerful. Consider our bargain complete.
Oh my god.
And she is then transformed into a sea giant, and if you look really carefully, you can kind of make out her Kultir's armor, like the belt on her waist and one of the cuffs, the blue cuffs on her arm fin. And
well, she is powerful.
Yes,
so far.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yep. Should have been more specific.
Yeah.
And that's the giant that we will be fighting.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Man, how do I put out the name of the boss and the thumbnail with the boss image without it being a massive spoiler? I'll have to do that one like day of.
Yeah, or I guess you could
gap in the raid guides.
You could do her human form, and that could be recognizable. So people are like, "Oh, like why did you upload the wrong image? This isn't Lady Ashvane."
Oh, whoops! Yeah, no, I meant to show Lady Ashvane, guys. That's the wrong picture.
So yeah, I mean, in some sense, it's, you know, she betrayed the Alliance a lot, and probably, you know, and I wonder if she has a bigger role, because she was going to help the Horde and then ended up underground. Maybe she led the Horde to Nazjatar, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it is sort of satisfying that Ashara, you know, tricked her in the end and turned her into this ugly sea giant, and then we killed her. Like, I don't know if Ashara really liked her either.
Nope, doesn't seem like it. She was another pawn.
Is it also interesting, for a very brief moment in the alpha, Lady Ashvane was asking Ashara for help in the siege of Borealis. So they definitely had a clear hint that she was going to work with Queen Ashara. They removed that and had it be more generic, but you know, that they did sort of hint that that was her endgame early on, that she was working with Ashara. It wasn't just, you know, oh, I want to take over Borealis. But yeah, there's lots of implications. I mean, if Ashara is trying to work with all these people to undermine our stability on both the Alliance side and the Horde side with Zul. But yeah, so another interesting thing we learned exploring the second half of the raid is the prison of N'Zoth. We were able to get to the last room, and there are chains, which look very much like Old God chains. But Ashara, if we look at Chronicle, Ashara's palace is in Nazjatar, and N'Zoth's prison, previous to the Sundering, was way off, you know, was way off to the east. So, as a quick geography recap, Ashara's empire was by the Well of Eternity. Well of Eternity was caused when Yasuraz was ripped out of the earth. Sorry if I butchered the name. And the impact left behind the Well of Eternity, which was then patched up and stabilized. Well of Eternity, with the Sundering, then turned into the Maelstrom, and everyone thought that N'Zoth's prison was over somewhere in the east. But now if we are, you know, by the Well of Eternity again, why is N'Zoth's prison over there? That seems really bad and strange. Like, how did it just float over? So one theory that's been going around maybe is that the Chronicle showed the correct location before everything blew up, and after it blew up, since everything was really damaged, maybe it, you know, shifted, and no one has really bothered going to, you know, the Maelstrom or underwater or Ashara's area to see what's been up. So we didn't think it moved, but maybe it did move. So I think that makes the most sense. But yeah, I had all sorts of theories, like, oh, maybe Ashara keeps stealing and moving things, like the Tidestone. Maybe she was teleporting N'Zoth slowly. You know, maybe it's moved with some magical reason. A lot of people were very surprised to see that N'Zoth's prison was on top of the Well of Eternity, as opposed to not being on top of the Well of Eternity based on the old Chronicle map.
I mean, it's a good hint that there will probably be something there. You know, they wouldn't have it if it wasn't for a reason.
Yeah.
Maybe when Azeroth got stabbed and it started bleeding and looking all rough, maybe there was some tectonic plate shifting that started going on just because it's. You know,
I think
she's having a bad skin day.
Yeah, I think both events could have something to do with it. Also, the Well of Eternity sounds a lot like the Wound in the World. They're like, oh yeah, like Azeroth's life is bleeding and like volatile energies doing horrible things, and it's like, oh wow, this sounds like something that just happened. I'm sure this is unrelated. And another thing which was interesting looking through the raid is, I don't know if you showed this, Annie, but sort of the very like neon center explosion thing with the purple around it. Go to Curious Raid details. But yeah, so by the radiance of Ashara, if you look down into the water, there's this gigantic blazing object below, and we can't swim down to see it, but it just looks so weird because that part of the raid is all purple and blue, and then it's just this like neon orange pink thing at the bottom, and you're like, is this the heart of Azeroth? Is this the like a circle? Is this a star? Is this the radiance? Like, why is this blinding in our face under the water?
I have the picture in just a second. Yeah. I found the one you meant.
Yeah.
Right here. That one.
Yeah.
That's
very
really
bright.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this like you're standing on the side of it and you're looking down?
We're looking into a puddle that goes down, and we can't swim down. We're looking into a shallow puddle that's apparently very
okay. Mm-hmm.
So we're just really curious, like, is this like some volatile energy from the Well of Eternity? Is this the actual heart of Azeroth? Like, why is this so bright when the rest of the raid is very kind of purpley at that point? And another interesting detail is that, you know, Ashara is holding this all open with her magical bubble, the Tidestone, and when you look up in the little bubble you're in, there's all these weird water patterns that do look like stars and constellations, and it's in a circular bubble, so you wonder if that's another Circle of Stars reference when you get to the end of the raid. But yeah, it was a very interesting raid to look at. I think that obviously it's bad news if N'Zoth is on top of the remains of the Well of Eternity, because that's going to just corrupt Azeroth some more. And that's not good, and he's, you know, gaining more strength from that, and yeah, that just seems very bad for all of us.
Or good if you kept your N'Zoth and you chose Team N'Zoth.
Oh yeah.
Some people did that.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, this is like even better, like amazing news. Now I know why Ashara was so happy.
I'm glad I stayed a part of this cult. But it's funny that there's a lot of circular kind of imagery as well, because that also reminds you of the eyes as well, like just being watched from everywhere.
Yeah, another interesting thing with the eyes and the color is that most of the raid is pretty blue and purple, but then when you get to the last few bosses, the Queen's Court is very pink, and in Warbringer's Ashara, her section, before it all fell apart, her section was very rosy pink toned.
Yeah, it was.
And then when you start getting to the end, where Zakul, Herald of Ny'alotha is, there are these weird red smoky things on the floor, and we haven't really seen red in the instance. So it just really stands out that red, which is the color of, you know, the N'Zoth eyeballs and Warbringer Ashara, is now in the ocean. So I think those color choices are deliberate because
for sure.
Most of the raid is pretty standard, cool looking, fishy, you know, underwater blue and purple, and then you have these very strange color accents. But yeah, so like I said, I'm just very curious where this will go next, because if the Well of Eternity is described as the true heart of the world's magic and natural power, and N'Zoth is basically wrapped around that. Azeroth seems very vulnerable. And, you know, it seems like, will he use the power of Azeroth to bring back the Black Empire? Will he try to kill everyone? Will he try to bind everyone? So we all think N'Zoth is amazing. Will the Titans be able to stop him? I mean, conveniently, they're all sort of locked away in a star in the sky. And then that also leads to the concerns that the Titans would rather destroy our world than let corruption claim it. I mean, we look at the whole Algalon system. So you're like, oh wow, could the Titans just want to nuke us if we become too much of a mess at some point? So lots of implications there. Yes, Bright Paw's like, I am N'Zoth. I am a cat.
You need to remember the kitty section of this, Mom. Don't forget that. Don't forget my influence here.
Bright Paw is a black dragon in disguise. He took the form of a cat.
Now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got some more lore updates as well.
Yeah, along those lines, we got some Eye of the Corruptor whispers, which we found while questing. And we're just going to show some of them because it ties into what we're saying about the Well of Eternity. So we're looking at them and they sound pretty dire and angry. And if you remember some past works like Three Sisters, the voices Ilaria hears are really similar about, you know, kill her now, kill her, listen to me, you need to listen to me. So this is making you think that if the whispers sound like Three Sisters, where the Void seems to actively hate and almost fears Sylvanas, that, you know, maybe Sylvanas is evil, but she's not on the side of the Void. If they, you know, they seem to be saying that they hate her and they want you to kill her.
Yeah, they want her dead. Yeah.
There's also a few lines. Yeah. So there's also the line, "The Queen threatens the King. There's no way to win," and we're like, is this like Sylvanas versus Anduin, or like Ashara versus Magni, or N'Zoth versus Sylvanas? We're trying to figure out what that all means. We don't really know, but it's fun to think about. Maybe we'll learn in an upcoming patch. I did ask at my interview, I was like, hey, so Sylvanas's motivations keep getting murkier with all these twists. Like, is that coming to a head? Will we know? And they said in a future patch that Sylvanas's endgame will become clear and we'll see a lot more of her. So, not exactly sure what that means.
Still don't know what endgame is.
No, but it would be interesting if, like, Sylvanas and N'Zoth both want to do really horrible things but aren't working together, so it's like a race to see who can trap or outsmart who.
Yeah.
Like, Sylvanas is Team Death and N'Zoth is like Team Black Empire. You know, hard to see, but it's interesting because it definitely these lines definitely seem like they do not like her.
Yeah.
And there's also a few lines like completing the circle, which seem to be a reference to the Circle of Stars and the trap Ashara has for us in 8.2. And the line about, you know, this is the truth, it is but one of 1,000. That sounds like what Ilaria was being told, how when she was learning about the Void, how she was seeing 1,000 different truths and didn't know which one was true. And she saw a really horrible one where she killed her son and then lost her control over the Void and served N'Zoth and then killed N'Zoth and became N'Zoth. So I don't know. It all sounds very ominous and it's fun to speculate about. But definitely has a vibe that Sylvanas is... Eye of the Corruptor does not like Sylvanas if they're setting up a parallel between these whispers and Three Sisters. Another one that we had like 2 or 3 weeks of lore here, so there's just
a bunch of lore that just sort of stacked up after each other, and Perk, being the expert here, is probably the best one to present them to us. We have some speculation around Rathian.
Yeah, his bodyguards are all over the place in 8.2. So he's by the Heart of Azeroth. One of the agents is there, and he's spying on Abyssian, who was the uncorrupted Black Dragon. So now Rathian has learned that he has family out there. And he's also in Nashatar, which is interesting because it's like, why is he there? You know, does he hate Ashara and N'Zoth? I mean, he hates the fact that the Black Dragonflight are corrupted, which goes back to N'Zoth. But yeah, they don't really want to help you. They're just like, you know, if this is none of your business, like, go away before you get the attention of all the Naga here. Just like, you know, your hands are full, go away. And we're like, why are they there? Like, what is Rathian's motive? We've seen that there's a really cool Void Dragon in 8.2. So we're like, does he want to know about these other weird dragon flights coming back? Like he's just sort of there. We don't know why he's there, but his agents are in some very strange places. So
it's worth noting. And maybe some other kind of broadcast texts will come up in a near future PTR build, which will explain a little bit further.
Yeah, I also asked about this in my interview, and they were told, like, yeah, it's very interesting. You know, like the dragon flights are playing a role in the Heart of Essence quest line, and, you know, the friendly ones are back, and then some of the enemy ones are back, like the Twilight Dragonflight and Black Dragonflight, and these are all tied to N'Zoth. And they're like, you know, they have a lot of complex stories, and that's all we want to say for now on them.
Oh.
So, so
that's all
definitely
we want to say for now.
Yeah, it's implying there's more in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think Rathian would be very happy to learn that. He doesn't like what N'Zoth does to dragons, and all these dragon flights are happy and healthy and coming back. So I don't know. Maybe he's just hoping we're taking N'Zoth out. I don't know. But it's weird his agents are just sort of hanging out in the background doing nothing and not wanting to talk to us.
So they just kind of shoo you away, basically, if you try to speak to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just have, like, really snarky lines.
Yeah. That's funny.
So, yep.
We have another little lore section here.
This was really controversial. Well, it will become controversial when we get to the end of this part of the notes. We started off by, we saw Chandris and Thalyssra doing stuff on the PTR. And we're like, oh, that's really cool. You know, they're confronting the ghosts in their past. We learned that one of Thalyssra's students is sided with Ashara and is now this, like, evil Naga boss we're going to fight in the raid. And Chandris gets some peace with her brother who drowned in the Sundering, and she tells him not to worry, that, you know, she grew up and she's at peace and she's happy. And we see, this is the part that ties into the Warbringer Easter egg. We see Ashara trying to hold things back, and we see her elven form in the city. So it is touching, but MMORPG asked in their interview, they're like, this is cool, but where is Tyrande? Because, like, she hated Ashara, and she was one of the night elves that, like, was a major part of the resistance in War of the Ancients. So, like, why isn't she here? Like, you know, these elves are cool, but where is she? And I don't know if the Blizzard devs answering were, you know, the lore devs were taken unaware, but they said something to the effect that she got her revenge for the Night Elves in 8.1, and that they were focusing on other characters in 8.2. And that created huge...
They felt like she got her revenge?
Yeah, they're like, she got revenge for the Night Elves in 8.1. And I'm like, well, it was a start. I'm like, it was a start, but, you know, she didn't really get any land back, and she, you know, like, some of her lieutenants died and got raised as undead, and she didn't beat Nathanos, so I don't really know.
No, it was barely a victory at all.
Yeah, so that created a lot of controversy. I don't think a writer replied with that, but and maybe there could be more nuance if they weren't on the spot, but it was people were very upset, and then with the confirmation that, yeah, we're just gonna, you know, Chandris is gonna be exploring her past, but in place of Tyrande. Like, Tyrande is not going to go to Nashatar. And it's like, why wouldn't she? Like, she's very important.
She wasn't there at the beginning of BFA either. So, yeah, like, she's kind of, like, been gone. Like, I thought after what happened last time in 8.1 that we would finally start seeing a bit more.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because we don't even know if they won Darkshore. I mean, we've just seen Nathanos going from Darkshore over to Dazara Lore. That's like, how is this dude everywhere? Like, how come the Horde can just go from place to place? And, like, the Alliance are just, like, you know, it's like, oh, we can't leave her else we'll lose. But I don't know if that's meant to imply that they left Darkshore, but even if they had some lines where Tyrande's like, oh, you know, for so many years I waited for this, but now I must rebuild our ancestral land, like, just something, but there's nothing right now, and I would not categorize what she got as revenge. I would categorize that as, like, small rebuilding, but, you know.
Yeah,
like,
I think rebuilding is a better word.
Yeah, it was a very bittersweet victory. So, I don't know about that. Like I said, I just pretty much basically play Night Elf, so I'm sort of like, really? This seems sort of... I don't know. I was just disappointed by that reply. And while I think that the Chandris and Thalissa questline is interesting, I think it would have been cool to see Tyrande playing a role there. Especially, I think all the complaints come from Jaina being in Nazjatar, and you have Lorthamar, and then other two elves there. It's like, why is Jaina there? Like she's sort of like not the elf that is there.
Yeah.
We should have all the elves back together, fighting there. So I'm not really sure about that. Hopefully she'll play a bigger role in 8.3, but it feels like a missed opportunity. Especially if, this is all by the Well of Eternity. Like that, it just seems so important related toward the Ancients, and she's just not there, or Malfurion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's about it for the lore section. We have really detailed articles on all this if you want to, read more.
That means we can take down the spoiler tag as well.
Yeah.
So you don't need to be worried about being spoiled anymore. And speaking of being spoiled, we have a cat here, just happily accepting strokes and purring.
Yeah.
Just looking at me, aren't you?
Oh, what a good cat.
Yeah, this takes us to one of the later sections now in the show.
Yeah, unless Hazel had anything else to bring up from the PTR.
Is there anything that has interested you as of lately on the PTR?
The one thing that I got to spend a bit of time in was I recently did my first full run of the Mechagon dungeon. Ooh. I had seen the last 4 bosses at the April event, but I didn't get to do the whole thing front to back until recently. I love that dungeon. It's so cool.
Oh, that's awesome to hear.
If anybody's out of the loop, they've done it in the style of the Kara dungeon. So it's an 8-boss mega dungeon, and this one feels like they built it from the ground up to be split later on. Like with Kara, because it was based on a raid, they kind of had to find like a stopping point. But with this one, you have a very clear 4 bosses outside, 4 bosses inside. But the way the whole experience just flows together with the environments, and there's like really interesting trash packs. And then the boss fights are just insane. It just feels very much like a 5-man raid, which I think is what they're going for. And it's quite challenging at mythic only difficulty. And I'm just really excited that experience will be there for a patch. And then later on, they can break it up and do heroic and mythic plus and all that. But like some of the boss areas are like big for dungeon bosses. Like normally in a dungeon boss, you're just kind of like in a room, but there's this one where you have this like whole area and you have to go up onto different platforms to like hack the thing to bring the boss back down. There's just really, really awesome fights, and I can't wait until that's on live and I can do it with my friends. It's gonna be great.
That sounds awesome. That makes me excited to try it as well.
The loot from Mechagon is really cool too. How we've talked about this in past shows, but if you missed it, they have rings and you mix and match rings and you get basically different customizable procs. So it's like one ring is like, oh, like when I deal nature damage, then I do an AoE, or like when I deal frost damage, then I have critical strike. You can mix and match them in different ways. And then they drop the fun punch card items as well. So you can a lot of the things to socket your punch cards with, like red, yellow, and blue versions. And a lot of the items have, similar to what we're discussing with the Eternal Palace, they have just weird, fun effects on them. I think all the wrists do cool things, and usually wrists are very boring slots. So all that seems really cool.
There's an interesting situation when you get one ring but not the other one. I looted one that says, when you're behind your enemy, you'll... And then I didn't have another ring, so nothing happened.
Oh, really?
That's all you get.
That's funny. Yeah, that's all you get. Just half the story. It's like when a friend tells you a story and then changes their mind.
Anyway. Speaking of the event, I mean, I went to the press one and you went to the a more feedback event in April. Was there anything interesting from the event you wanted to share, like something that surprised you or just the format of it? Because I mean, like, I know obviously you guys went to Blizzard Entertainment and you have your pictures by the orc statue, but the one I went to was this sort of like cavernous, like, I don't know, warehouse where we just sort of spent the whole day playing classic WoW demo, and it was very intense. So I feel the events were very different that I attended and you attended.
Yeah. I think a lot's already been said about the April one, but the vibe that really jumped out at me that I wasn't expecting, because we both went last year to a media event that was very different from either of the two this year. So the thing that I really liked about ours was you spent like some time playtesting, and then you'd come back down and you'd have like a round table where you'd sit down with devs And you also had the situation where just like over meals, like over lunch and over dinner, you could just like hang out in more of a social setting with devs to like talk about them and ask questions and get feedback and give feedback. And the vibe that really surprised me that I wasn't expecting was just how open-minded they are and how much back and forth there is about almost anything. Because a lot of us, or at least I, tend to get the vibe of, oh, they'll never do X thing, they'll never do Y thing, that's not their style, that's not how they work. But how they work is really a very flexible from the feels of it. It feels like they're willing to discuss anything. And then they'll try to work through it to figure out what the upsides and downsides are, and then weigh those against the other option. And I think that's part of the philosophy that ends up in these weird situations like the portal room thing, where if they picked a solution that has an upside and a downside, and they think that that net benefit is better than our current situation, they're going to do it. But because there's a downside, because there was a thing that got taken away, the community doesn't initially see the upside. So there's like disconnects in communication there. But I was just really impressed with how open-minded they are about stuff. Like nothing's off the table. They'll talk about whatever. They'll think about it, and they'll like if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. But they'll at least figure out why.
That's good
and
to
then
hear.
try to find something that will work. It's a cool conversation to see happening.
Yeah, I think that the official part of my day was structured very differently. It was very formal. Like Ian basically gave Muffinus's live stream presentation. Except, it had the cool stuff at the end, like the Sourfang cinematic and the in-game event and the classic release date. And we had that for an hour, and then we basically could play and record classic footage, which was really cool because usually they don't let you record footage, but they let us do that so we had people, like trying to run dungeons together or have little duel tournaments or all raid, South Shore together. So that was really cool to see everyone just sort of playing and cheering each other on. And then, they had more formal interviews where you could actually just go up and ask the developers questions. They had a little museum set up with a lot of relics from WoW's history, like old weapons and a lot of artwork that I took some pictures of. But then, like you said, when it was mealtime and people were mingling, like Ian came over to our table and we all had a really good conversation about, some of the classic bugs we found, or what were some of the bosses he worked on in the day, what were some of the really weird hot fixes that broke the game, and sort of how WoW changes. You make one change to keep up with changing trends or to fix problems, and then 5 patches later you're like, whoa, our gear system is totally different now. Now what do we do? So it was interesting with insights, and I agree with what you're saying. Nothing was off the table. They're very open in discussing what challenged them, some things in retrospect that could have gone better, or just they're good at laughing at themselves. Someone was like, oh, on my first day I had to deploy hotfixes, and when I got to Korea, it wasn't my fault, I swear, but something happened and all the Korean servers went down, so I got known as the guy that took all the servers down.
Oh, no.
So they have a good sense of humor, and you can tell that they all really love their jobs.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah,
it reminds me of the whole wholesome idea that we all have of how Blizzard does things. So that's nice.
Yeah. So I wish some of that was actually more on the record, because I don't want to say something and have it be like, oh no, that wasn't part of the interview. But you just learn a lot of cool things. They were explaining how Onyxia does her deep breath. They were talking about this was a really funny small anecdote I think is fun to share. So they were saying with the Lich King, he had a bunch of different spells that cast, and at the time your weapon couldn't be in the same pose for some of his animations, so the Lich King kept pulling his weapon out and then sticking it back on his back, so they had to do a whole new series of animations so his weapon would just stay in the same place. But it looked really funny how it's okay, cast this, oh, he's holding his weapon, oh no, do this other cast, now he's repeating it.
Just keep putting it away.
Yeah. So just learning little details about that and showing how the game actually comes together, I thought was really cool to hear, and it humanizes them. I wish Blizzard could talk about stuff like that more. When you have interviews, people are always okay, where are the essences, what's the release date, how does Nazjatar work, what is layering? But I think it's just really cool to hear little stories like that.
Yes, the humanizing, perfect word to describe
I think
I love it.
It's a lot easier to have hope in the future in the game when you have hope and you have faith in the people developing it. And when we're so separated from them, as a community and you can't really get that feel, it's very easy for these narratives to go around online of, oh, it's just, the big boss Activision, or, the CEO, he's evil, he's breathing fire down the hallways. Like, you've got all of these narratives that just kind of get out of control because it's, it's like unprofessional for them to step in or whatever, but you do end up kind of disconnected from them, and that makes it easier for people to go, well, dead game. But it's a lot harder to sit down with them and, listen to their stories and believe that it's a dead game when you see how hard they're still working on it.
Yeah, and like so many of them, they were fans. Like they play well, they have characters, and then they got hired to work on, their dream job in game, and they want to make it good and continue having it being good. So that was cool. I'm trying to think, was there anything else? I think we're all were sad we didn't get a picture by the orc statue, but it still was a nice, setup. It was just I never went to that setup before. I guess they had so many people they needed to put us into one room. Oh yeah, I got to see pictures of the rag statue. I had him posing with Pepe, so that was cool. Yeah, it was a pretty cool event. I'm really happy that Blizzard got to send me out there. That was last Tuesday, and then we even had a travel embargo, so I couldn't even tweet like, "Oh guys, I'm in Irvine. Like, look at me outside the gates." I had to be quiet with that, which I think was very different than your event, because like everyone was tweeting about being at hotels and traveling, but with this, it was like, no, like I was like, oh, I'm like drinking with Tao. It's like, no, I can't tweet that I'm hanging out with Towley because that's against our NDA.
So, ours was really funny because they hadn't told us what we could and couldn't say, and I'm just like sitting here not saying anything, and then like Slipbags like tweeting selfies on a plane, and we like get there and ask, and they're like, well, yeah, we figured we couldn't get you to shut up about it anyways. Like, well, they didn't say that, but like,
the
fact of, because we're public and we're content creators and we're streamers, it would look really suspicious anyways if 20 streamers just disappear for a week.
Well, they did that for hours. Everyone's like, oh, why is no one from Classicast on? Why is Towley streaming in a hotel room? Like, everyone was suddenly went dark. But I think there were fewer pure content creators there. There were more like journalists there from publications like IGN, so it wasn't as noticeable, but a lot of people figured it out regardless.
Yeah, something was going on.
I think I was the only one because it was like just, 45 minutes away, so it wasn't like, oh, I'm absent because I'm on a plane for 12 hours.
Yeah.
But I guess if people were watching, they're like, why are there no cat tweets? Because, I can't bring Brightpaw to the event.
Yeah. We need to see the daily Brightpaw picture.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I mean, I'd love to attend a feedback one at some point, but, we keep doing feedback on the site, and, I talk to the CMs a lot, and the media event, like, it was very professional. I love being able to capture footage. Like, I took so many fly-throughs. I was like posing myself and being like, oh, like I could take these home. Look at my old character on like for Night Saber in the zone I like. So I think that was the first time they let people capture footage. So I'm really thankful.
They definitely didn't let us do that. That was a really cool thing for, I think, your event specifically.
I'm really thankful
about that. Stuff and we couldn't.
Yeah, so I'm really happy about that. So, no complaints there. It was a super cool event. And I think that's good they're trying to experiment with different types of events.
Yeah, that's interesting that you had different types of events so close to each other.
Yeah, and I think that they both seem more unique than the media one we both went to last year, and that was sort of like a lot of different stuff going on. And I think it's cool that they had one that went more in the feedback direction, like early, hype coverage, and then another event dedicated to like, okay, like now you're actually going to like, sit down and play Classic. The one thing I was a little sad with was that the event, I mean, so like I love Classic, but I was also hoping for some 8.2 questions, and we didn't really learn anything new about 8.2 at the event, I guess, besides Sourfang. Like, they told me that Beguiling was the new Mythic Plus affix, but then Beguiling was data mined actually during the PTR hit during the event. So I'm like, oh, there goes my Beguiling scoop. There it goes. And then they were like, oh, raid testing. They're like, raid testing starts in a few weeks, but then that was actually 2 days later. So I'm like, oh, if I had known this, I wouldn't have asked these questions, an hour before the PTR appeared. But yeah, the presentation for 8.2 was a little on the repetitive side, but I'm still really happy I had the interview because they were always really fun to ask about 8.2, especially because, Jeremy and Frank were like really big collectors. So they're talking about all these really fun things to, collect in Mechagon and Nazjatar and, hints about characters we could see in the future. So I'm really happy I had the interview. It just would have been cooler if the presentation was not like, oh, this is like the live stream, but someone else narrating it. But you people from, IGN and like Game Informer and all these places that haven't cared about the live stream, so I understand why they were repeating it, for a different audience.
Mm-hmm.
I just was not the target audience for that part, but I was super happy to see the cinematic. Like everyone was like really happy, even if they weren't focusing on Mar. They're like, "Oh my god, this is so cool!" And like people were like, I think people were cheering at points. So that was really cool to see that. It was almost making me think that it would be cool if people could go to a theater and they would play all the BFA cinematics and cutscenes back to back, like a little, I don't know, mini movie. That could be kind of cool to experience in person, because it was really fun getting to see it. That would be a neat BlizzCon area. Yeah, like just seeing the cinematic on a huge screen, it was really cool seeing that. So
like
I think
its
it'd be
own panel
fun
at
too.
BlizzCon. Just watch all the cinematics. Maybe somebody talking like a few words in between them or something on the microphone.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I think that'd be like a little fun of it. I think they did that with Overwatch at some point. How they, I think like it was some theaters and Coke sponsored it, and they played 30 minutes of like character trailers. So I think that'd be cool to do for WoW. I'd go attend. But yeah, so we have a cat back.
Yes,
and
we do.
No keyboard bright pod, no.
Let's also give a last call for the giveaway. To enter the giveaway, you type Boomkin in the chat, and what you can win is the pet Moonkin Hatchling, a very cute little Boomkin. Which is a different pet for Alliance and Horde, and can slash dance with you. It's a very cute one. So last call for that, and also a last update about Q&A. If you guys have any questions to do with what we've talked about today or anything else, you can at SAS148, and he will note them down for us to take care of after our last bits of updates here.
Yep. So we want to talk about some site updates. I know we talked about Classic at the start, but just wanted to highlight some, remind people about some stuff on the site. The first thing is that we are having a party at BlizzCon again. We have partnered up with Con Before the Storm, the other community-run party that always took place on Thursday nights. We've both been around a really long time. I think Wowhead started the BlizzCon before Con Before the Storm. So we just figured that with everything changing at Blizzard and how, just like people have different interests, and in the past, like everyone wants to have a meet and greet. The place that Wowhead used to have parties at is now demolished. We just figured, let's like work together so we're not making people run between places for the meet and greet. And
Did you
if
say
people
the
are
place
asking,
is demolished?
Yeah, Annabella, it's demolished. It's a luxury hotel now.
Oh.
So yeah. So we just figured, join forces, have one epic party so people don't have to worry about scheduling, especially with the portal pass. You don't want people to be like, oh, well, like I need to go to the portal thing and then the Wowhead party and Calm Before the Storm. And do I assign one person who's, we have people running between events trying to get things signed. And it just seemed to be better to join forces, pool our resources, have one large fundraising event instead of people feeling like their budget would be stressed donating to two parties. And we've had really amazing success with the Kickstarter so far. I think the ground rate was 19,000 and we're at 31,000 so far, and we keep smashing our stretch goals.
That's awesome.
So we definitely want to focus on what makes communities special. Like there are so many large organizations that can come in like Twitch or Discord or Blizzard and throw like a very fancy party with like lights and sound. It's like, well, what makes Wowhead in these community events special? It's having the people connecting with people from the games we like to play, getting to mingle, getting to sign things, getting to give away arts and crafts, and that's something that we can do that these large corporations can't do. And so we just figured, let's work together. Let's do a great community event. It's free to everyone, but we appreciate, people's donations. We have really cool prizes you can get if you pledge, like Wowhead pin set, I think there was some signed Battle for Azeroth copies. There are T-shirts. So there are lots of cool things that we are offering. Kickstarter still goes on for a month, and we are actively coming up with more stretch goals because there are it's like it was amazing the amount of support. We did not expect to be fully funded.
That's really cool.
In the first day. So yeah, so we will have more updates on that. We're going to be promoting that more once we have more stretch goals announced, so we can do another pledge push when we need it. Because right now everything we do is just like getting funded instantly, which is a great problem to have.
People are so generous. That's awesome. People wanting to support.
Another thing we wanted to highlight besides all the WoW Classic news and updates on Wowhead was we also have our Heart of Azeroth Essence Calculator up. So you can drag and drop the major and minor powers in and see what you get at all different levels, as well as where each essence rank is from. And you can share that link with other people. And our guide writers also have the ability to embed that in our class guides. So it will look very nice when they get to, that section of the guide and explaining it. And yeah, so a lot's going on.
I actually want to show that. I think I have it somewhere. It's so confusing when you have so many windows open.
Yeah.
To find the right tab. Okay, I think I found it. Or not. Yeah, you can keep on talking. If I find it, I'll show you guys how it works.
Okay. I can, I can link to it, or you can just pull up a window and, just click on stuff in your browser and have stuff light up.
The problem is that I can't find it within OBS. Okay, I found it now. Because I have multiple windows open, so it's like Chrome number 1. It's like Chrome number 2, Chrome number 3. But I found it. It was at the bottom. Okay, so this is how it looks like.
Yep.
Let me zoom into the right place, and then I'll change the scene so you guys can see. I was already clicking through it a little bit, so I was looking at how it would look for a Warlock. Here it is. So the way that you have it here is that you can click these little circles and choose a different... What are these called? Essences? Or...
Yeah, major and minor. Yeah, you choose the essences to put in your major and minor slots.
And you can see that there's options for what rank as well. So you can, customize it to exactly how you want it to be, which is really cool. So this is specifically for Warlock, and then you can just choose whichever, or for Affliction even, you can choose whatever fits you, whatever class you're interested in. So
we also, all the tooltips work. So if you go to the rare essence page, it will show you what the major and minor powers are, which I know is a thing that a lot of fan sites that do gear stuff are very keen to know we have updated. And we're still working on the vision of perfection, showing the spec-specific effects. That just takes longer to set up because we haven't encountered anything like that in the data before. But we're trying to wrap that all up so 8.2 is in good shape before we have to focus on, classic things. Also, I think that about wraps up the site stuff. Again, we discussed a lot of classic stuff we're doing at the start of the show. And Sass has a few different questions for us that I'll just look at quickly.
We also have a giveaway winner. Fantas Magor. Congratulations on your new pets. The Moonkin Hatchling. And don't forget to do a slash dance to it. It will dance back at you. It's very cute. But yeah, go ahead. Q&A time.
When Perk was raiding Nax 40, did she kill the 4 horsemen? And if yes, did she see the corrupted Ashbringer drop? No, we killed... I remember being in on the guild's first kill of Thaddeus, but we did not kill the 4 horsemen. We only killed some of the wings of Nax, not all of them, but I think it was pretty... I think, I don't really think many people cleared all of Nax at the time, so that was still... Yeah.
Back then it was a rare rarity. It's not like today where people expect it within a few days. It's
first week.
First week, It's like, what? The tier lasted more than a week? Oh, wow. Yeah. It's insane.
Zakif said, how many and which things are changed in the WoW Classic in comparison with the original vanilla? So we have a classic overview, which we can link in chat. I'll link it at the bottom of this. that goes over some of the major things. But you know, there's the Battle at Friends list integration. You can click to report players. The
Voice too,
data
right?
storage. Yeah, the modern framework for the data storage is different than the original Classic. There's colorblind support. Loot trading is added just to raids. There's a modern macro and add-on interface. There's better widescreen visuals. And then, as we covered at the start of the show, the old school rides won't be available in the early parts of Classic. You know, they won't be available in phase 1 or 2. They'll just not be available at all. And then there's the layering instead of sharding. And then there's also the idea of progressive itemization. All the items will be in their 1.12 forms, so it's not like, oh, well, a molten core, this item looked differently and had stamina, but then in like 1.10 it had you know, intellect instead. It just will be the 1.12 values. So there are some things like that which are different. Also the graphic option to have everything be high density ground clutter, that will be built into the settings. You could hack that in with a console command in Classic, but they're making it obvious now, so you can have stuff look nicer.
There's also other small things that are in today's game, which wasn't there back then, that I noticed. For example, if you invite somebody who's already in a group, it automatically requests an invite instead. Whereas before it would just, you know, send the invite and say like person is already in the party or something. So that's I don't know, just a sort of clean solution to things, which they kept with Classic as well.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think, those kind of small things which are a little bit more, I guess, modernized, you could say. But I think they have done a pretty good job trying to make it as close to Classic as possible.
Yeah. Does Perk, Annie, and Hazel have specific plans when they play Classic and hit 60? Will they go for rating, maybe PvP, or even rank 14 grind?
Who wants to go first? We kind of briefly talked about it.
If I ever hit 60.
Yeah.
I feel like
60.
So like I feel like I worked really hard in Classic to get things, and I have really good memories of that. And like I'm not going to beat stuff like getting the ZG Tiger on the first raid. And I was really trying to push myself to go from like not knowing what was going on to rising up the ranks and getting good gear. So I feel like I'm not going to take that exact same path, because I think it just would like mess with my head a lot.
Yeah.
But
like I do plan on
I do plan on hitting 60. I think if anything, I might try to go for some of the fun stuff that I ignored the first time around. Like, you know, I might want to farm the dungeon sets for fun. I might want to focus on getting the pets. You know, I might want to pay more attention to the quest, because while I like the lore now, I wasn't really into reading the quests at the time. Like I just liked the aura of going through Darkshore, but I didn't really pay attention to the individual stories and characters. So I think I might try to focus on the things I neglected the first time around. Because like I said, I think it would be weird if I went into the like ZG and it's like, okay, like we're gonna try to improve on the past. Like we can improve on the past. It's just different. So I think I might take it at a more casual pace, and not try to set goals, because you know, I sort of crushed the ones I mostly had back in the day, and I don't want to set myself up for being disappointed. Like this isn't a Classic only thing. Like I will not. Wrath was really awesome for raiding for me, and I won't run those raids on the character I did all the realm first on. Like when people say, oh, we're gonna farm the Lich King, whatever, I would not take that character back. I'm just like, I had this awesome memory of, you know, getting realm first on, you know, Arthas, or helping everyone in the guild get their Mimiron's head before the patch removed it. And I just want to end on that high note. I don't want to go back and, you know, feel like
do it again and do it worse.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe that's just a thing with me, but I think there are lots of things I didn't do awesomely in Classic that I can go back and have more fun doing now. So, yeah.
I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. I didn't play at the time, so honestly, for me, it's just a sort of a huge new jungle, new horizon. I don't really have any plans per se. I'm kind of just going with the flow. I wasn't even planning to level on beta, but I ended up leveling to 13. And I do not think that I will go for big grinds like rank 14. From what I hear, it's something that you have to continuously do. You can't just decide to like take a break from it and then build on it later, because then you lose ranks. And it doesn't, I don't know, that idea doesn't sound so fun. So I doubt I'll do that. But I think I definitely want to, go through the raids at least once and just experience how it was in the modern day, I guess. That's gonna be my plan. But yeah, so Classic is like not a prio for you, Hazel.
Not now, but
not now. But you never know. Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. In before, Hazel is the first one of us who ever hits level 60.
Oh man.
It's just beta time, so it doesn't matter right now. It's when it actually launches. That's when it matters. That's when Hazel will be world first level 60.
Aegis also wants to know, can we mention the abilities that Queen Ashara has for us during the raid? So I don't think that's a spoiler. I think we can. I think some of it's pretty funny. I don't know if this is the meme I posted a few days ago. Those abilities are actually not in the raid, but I think what Aegis is referring to is if you I don't know how to share this easily. I'll just Sass is going on vacation, and I just checked the notes, and it's like in size 100 font. Sass is going on vacation.
See you after Memorial Day, May 28th. I'll miss you all. Oh, we will miss you too, Sass. We will miss you too. Have a great trip.
Yeah. We will miss Sass. What will we do next week? We won't be like a mess. We won't be giveaway or anything. But yeah, I think what Aegis is referring to is that there is Queen's Decree. Ashara issues individual decrees to all players that must be satisfied, or else the victim is sanctioned. You take 40 arcane damage, and multiple offenses lead to greater punishment. And she wants you to do things like, the Queen forbids you to move. The Queen demands that you continue to move. The Queen forbids you to stand with your allies. The Queen demands that you stand with your allies. You absorb an arcane orb. You forbid you to absorb. And it's just like, oh man, like, you don't have to do anything special. You just need to stand still. And like, it's so hard for some people
do anything.
to do. Yeah. So that just, I think that's what he was referring to. That's a really fun ability. There's also the one that I tweeted about, I think last week, was that she's displeased with your you don't follow court etiquette, so she executes you. But I'm not sure. I think that might be just Ashara out in the world. I can't find that in the journal yet, but that just sounds funny. Kaya XO wants to know, what class, race, faction will you guys be playing in Classic? I'll be sticking with my Night Elf Rogue, because I've always had my Night Elf Rogue. I don't care if it's like not perfectly min-maxy. I like her, and I like stealth going into I like Shadow Meld going into stealth.
Ooh,
and I like flipping. Very nice. And I like getting my Night Sabers.
I think I'm gonna stick to my Gnome Warlock, probably. I was going to go with human, but I think I might just go with Gnome, since that was my original race. So that's going to be my plan. What about you, Hazel? What are you going to be when we see you hit level 60 world first?
I like the idea of Hunter, because I really missed and liked the concept of feeding your pets and having to feed your pets.
Oh, to make them happy,
so
right?
I'd probably be a Hunter. Yeah, because
but you can't be a gnome.
No, I can't be a gnome. Like, you can't. A lot of the hunter races were added later, so I don't know exactly what my options are, but I know I could be a night elf hunter, so maybe that.
Yeah.
Was good. Human added later?
Human was added later.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
That was
kind of weird.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, Night Elf. Yeah, I remember Night Elf being a hunter race for sure. What other alliance ones? I don't remember.
Dwarves.
Dwarf. Oh yeah.
Definitely dwarves.
Yeah, the cinematic with the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I actually forgot.
Old model dwarves though.
Yeah, I just remembered now when human was added as hunter, and I remember finding it
hunters
funny.
are basically everything. Like they're the most prolific
oh really?
class, I think. Yeah.
Mm.
I think they can be everything at this point.
Yeah, I think anything can be a hunter, and almost anything can be a priest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Orcs can't, but yeah.
Magheart can.
Magheart can't, yeah, but regular orcs can't. And I think regular orcs are the only thing that can be a priest.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. But yeah, we have these Alliance and Horde race guides that break it down, and it's like basically everything in Classic. Everyone could be a warrior. Everyone except Tauren could be a rogue, and then it gets more, gets more infrequent from there. So like only 2 are druids. 5 are hunters, 4 mages, 2 paladins, 5 priests, 3 shaman, 4 warlocks. So yeah, rogues and warrior are the most flexible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
do we have any more questions? Or will that be
we
our
are
wrap
good
up?
on questions. Yeah.
Okay. That'll be our wrap up in that case. Became a lot of classic talk, as expected. And there was one thing in Classic also people were mentioning. Apparently there were certain races that gave you certain abilities. Like someone just mentioned in the chat about dwarf priests having fear word. Was that a thing?
Yeah, the priests have 2 class-specific racials.
Okay.
So, like dwarves have fear ward and desperate prayer. Humans have where did it go? Oh yeah, humans have desperate prayer as well as feedback. You deal shadow damage and you burn mana.
Cool.
Yeah.
Night elves have.
What happened to that?
I know.
Yeah,
Night elves have
change?
star shards. You rain star shards on the enemy's head, and then Elune's Grace gives your chance of dodge to increase. Like all these really crazy sounding things. For Horde, we have. For trolls, they get Hex of Weakness. You weaken the target enemy, reducing damage caused, and you have Shadow Guard. When a spell melee ranged attack hits the caster, the attacker will be struck for shadow damage. And then Undead, Touch of Weakness, the next melee attack will cause shadow damage and reduce the damage caused by the attacker. And Devouring Plague afflicts the target with a disease that causes shadow damage over 24 seconds, and damage caused heals the caster. So yeah, priests got all these race-specific racials.
Was it just priests? Because that's so cool.
Yeah,
just
that
priests.
is really cool.
I love things that build on the identity of like a race class combo. I wish we could have more of that. Like I know they have so many now, it would be a lot, but still.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Because it makes the decision so much more important.
Yep. And then some of the racials were things like, oh, your skill with weapons is increased by 5, or, it's just all these things were very important when deciding what weapon you'd use, because if, your talent tree increases your weapon skill, and then you also have a passive racial with that, like you could end up having max higher weapon skill than anyone else. Like you can have like 310 instead of 305. So you'd be like, oh, well, obviously I want weapons of this type because this is what fits my race better.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Yeah, it just kind of crossed my mind now because I saw that comment in the chat, and I remember somebody mentioning that when I was streaming because I had no idea. Someone asked me if I have something special as a Gnome Warlock, and I was like, don't think so. I never heard of that before.
Well, one thing that you do have is there are quests to get a lot of abilities in Classic, and not every class has the same quest. So as a Gnome Warlock, I'm not sure if this holds true for Warlocks, but I know for Warriors, like when they get their ability, they don't all have the same quest. Some of them go to different areas. So as a Gnome Warlock, you could have some interesting things like that.
Yeah, I think there might have been variation in how you unlock your imp, for example, depending on whether you started as a gnome or a human. So for at level 10 Voidwalker, it actually sends me to Stormwind. So I guess it kind of like gives me the human version of it. But yeah, that's
not all of that is. Yeah, I don't think all of it's human specific. But yeah, I think a lot gnomes are a little sad because a lot of the stuff is shared with dwarves
like
as
well. Yeah.
Area. Gnomes didn't have the special, like, oh my god, we're escaping from Gnomergan thing. That was added in Cataclysm. So they did get a little bit of the short end of the stick there. But yeah, a lot of the stuff is race specific. And I like the class quest as you level up. I wish there was more of that in WoW.
I agree. But yeah, I think that'll be the wrap up of the stream. Right after we end the show. So right before we end the show, so right about now, we will have, I don't know how to pronounce the name. Anchlin. All right. We will have Anchlin streaming some classic beta leveling, or probably leveling. Classic beta anyways. Yep. So if you guys want to still see some stuff, you should stick around and see some classic beta gameplay. And yeah, I think I was actually considering to play some myself, but I just realized it's 4 a.m, so maybe that's not the best idea for me. But you know, I stayed up a little bit later last night as well because of the beta, because for me it was available at midnight, so you know, I can't just go to bed because it's midnight if classic beta just got available, so there's that. But yeah, feel free to stick around to check out Anchlin streaming some classic beta, and yeah, then maybe you can continue the discussion on what else is different or new.
Yeah, and if you're classic. Like, who is Anchlin? He assists with Wowhead News, and he's one of the main people that helps coordinate Wowhead's BFA class guides and some of our classic guides as well. So, you know, if you have any questions about the guides, like, he's your man. I know I'm more recognizable, but he does a ton of work on the site as well, keeping everything up to date and high quality.
It's a teamwork. Everything is a team. But yeah, also, Hazel, thank you so much for coming to join us again. It's always lovely having you here, and we would, of course, love to have you here again as soon as you're able to. Would be lovely. It's always nice to have one more person's point of view, and or not point of view, but, you know, just discussions, opinions, talks. Always nice to have you around. And
thank you so much for having me back.
So if people want to find you in other places, where can they find you?
I am HazelNuttyGames on YouTube and on Twitter, and those are the important ones. So that'll pretty much set you up. Yeah, I stream on YouTube for now. I'm also HazelNuttyGames on Twitch. I don't stream there yet, but people may eventually talk me into it, so we'll see.
I think that's a good idea. Welcome to Twitch World.
I appreciate so much you guys having me on to chat. It's so lovely to get to sit down and talk to people and hear some other opinions. And I feel extra special getting invited twice because now I know I didn't mess it up the first time. So it's great.
Yeah, in case you weren't sure, now it's been confirmed. And I love the hair color. It feels very fresh. Has it been just done?
Yesterday, yes. I'm fresh off the salon. I'm feeling very good right now.
It looks amazing.
They're all very Void Elf. I love all of them, all the different colors you get each time.
Yeah, looks awesome.
My stylist is a WoW player, which is the only way I'm able to make small talk happen for like 5 hours while you're getting your hair dyed. But it's awesome. If I ask for void hair, she knows exactly what I mean.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, I love that shade of purple. Looks amazing. I like how we had to end up talking about hair at the end. So typical. But yeah, thank you to everyone watching and supporting, being in the chat, subscribing, resubscribing, chatting, whatever you're doing. Everything that you do is supporting. So thank you guys. And we will see you again next week.
Earlier time.
I was going to say same time, but it's not the same time. Today was a late show. 10 p.m. CEST and 1 p.m. Pacific. That's the time.
Yep.
I think that was the first time I didn't have to confirm with Perk what time it is. In the Pacific time, I mean. But yeah, so we will see you all next week. Thank you again so much. And see you next time.
Yep. See you next week. Thanks for all the support of Classic Wowhead, and we will keep working on our classic and 8.2 features and guides for you. And we always do we need to coordinate this.
High five.
The handshake. Yeah, the high five, but there's 3 of us. So
other side for you, Perk?
Okay. All right. So I think Hazel remembers this from the last time.
Should we do Hazel with 2 hands? One high, one low. Can you see it? Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. All right.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Perfect.
Yay. We did it.
As perfect as it can be with, the slight delays and stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can't forget the high fives. Very, very important part of the show. All right.
If we meet up at BlizzCon, we should do a very short video that's like the laggy high five where we just all get it.
Yes. And just miss each other. Yes.
The party will have a photo booth, so we can.
Oh. We need to have a picture together, the three of us.
Yeah.
I'm actually so excited for BlizzCon party. But yeah.
Yep. You're invited.
See you guys next time.
Yep.
Bye-bye, everyone.